Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What's up, Panther fans? It's Cold Cuts. That's right. This is the ninth episode. Ninth time we've done Cold Cuts, where the Carolina Panthers cut the roster. It's ice cold sometimes, folks. My grandma, she says cold cuts of that gabagool, though. But the Cold Cuts today, we're cutting from about 80 down to 53. And there were some surprises there. This was the cut day of Smiths. Brandon, Shy, who was more surprising? Michael Jordan's out of here. Cam Irvin's out of here. Thank you. We just got better addition by subtraction. I'm sorry, Nikki Bozeman. We can't be nice to Michael Jordan at this point on this podcast, but it is the longest running Panthers podcast, the C3 Panthers podcast, and you can be nice to us by smashing the thumbs up button, being a part of the show, jumping in the chat, calling in at 252-228-5098, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. I do it each and every week with these wonderful men right here. My wheel man, Cody Lashney. I almost felt like today wasn't as exciting as I expected it to be.
I mean, it is if you had some players that you had on your mind that you wanted to see make an impact, like a Brandon Smith or a Shy Smith, then yeah, you were a little bit upset about it. But it's prompted some great discussions about Scott Fitterer, about moving on from the Matt Rule regime, about do we have proper depth at linebacker and defensive tackle now? Dude, there are so many relevant discussions that we need to have tonight. And you already know we're going to do it with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. My man Drew's in the chat. Alex Stark, Joey the Blind Panther. What's up, buddy? Brandon Fixlin, Brandon R, C3, JJ, C-Dog, 1983 in the building. What's up, bro? Dan Floyd, David Screws, DJ Fish Nipples, Evan Jevin, Hemlock, Joe, the freaking Puerto Rican Riolano in the chat room. Joe, we love you, brother. What's up, man? KG73s, Kristen Ledane, Lawrence Trevette, Matt Knows Nothing, Michael Wydrick, Muscles Marinara, Panthers Gal 73, Pipe Singer, Rock Rhyme, Roosevelt Mongo, Supreme Tim Estes, Supreme Leader Z, and White Chocolate Espresso in the building. Tony Dunn, how can you not be excited after that laundry list of names? Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
Greg, I updated all the stuff on the Rumble stream keys, but they're not going through right. Maybe because I set it up for tomorrow. Huh.
That could be it.
That might be it. I'll work on that. Welcome, Greg. People have been waiting. No, it says date and time today.
Yeah.
People have been waiting to talk to you, brother.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people waiting, but I'm not worried about it at all, man. Like I said, I stand behind everything I said. And you know what? I will go ahead right here. Anthony Piccarello, JJ, Chase from Anderson, and Glenn.
G-Baby.
And Glenn. I said Glenn. I
Glenjamin. Call him Glenjamin.
I can see Glenjamin. Glenn agree. Yeah. I concede to you. Bryce Young, after a third preseason game, is the king. I concede to you that.
We call him the truth.
Okay? He had a phenomenal game. You're the truth. He had a phenomenal game. I'm not being facetious there. Like hyperbolic, I guess you would say there.
Sarcastic.
He had a great game, third game. Really did. Phenomenal game. I was highly impressed. But I'm conceding right now to you guys, he is the truth. So there you go. Let's see what happens in the future. Okay?
I'm ready to say he is as a rookie, the most, and if pick any other quarterback that the Carolina Panthers have had who have had little experience in their first year, I would say he's the most advanced in the way that he plays the quarterback position. Cam Newton was the most electric for sure.
Right.
I think you're right, though. I don't disagree with that. I think that's a very fair assessment.
So, yeah, we got that. But there are, again, the roster is a big deal. And CK, there were some surprise moves when it came to the defensive line. And it started with McCall last week, and it just continued. Man, we went young. These guys are young. The backup defensive tackles have zero experience, but they're young and hungry. And you know them D tackles can eat, bro. They're big boys. They can eat. So we're going to be looking at this position group by position group. Were you just refreshing Twitter all day today, CK?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to, but it was towards the end of my work day. So I just saw some of the big names, some of the surprises, some of the people we all were hoping. Honestly, there were some surprise cuts, but not because we didn't want them cut, but because we thought there's no way they're getting cut. You know, we saw Cam Irving get cut. We saw Michael Jordan get cut. These guys that seems like they've been able to survive through every possible
Sam
regime.
Tecklenburg,
right?
I feel like he's been on this team for like 10 years, dude.
I'm so happy that all those names are out the door, man.
Listen,
so
and here's the thing: is I want to be somewhat respectful because these guys lost their jobs, right?
I don't.
You know, I'm happy that our team looks like it's better, right? And that we can focus on being a better team, and you know, hopefully developing the guys that we do have on the team. However, I wish those guys the best of luck. I hope they can go on and you know, still have long careers and you know, do what they need to do to try to support their families and give themselves that generational wealth that everybody's striving for at this point in time. However, I'm certainly not upset that they're not a Panther anymore.
I'm tired of them doing it on our dime or David Tepper's dime.
On our
dime. We spend all our hard money on this crap.
Not just our money, like they're doing it on our mental investments, right? Like the money our mental investment. So not necessarily money, but mentally, we've invested a lot into this squad, into this team.
True.
And so
emotionally.
Yeah. So they're not wasting physical money outside of the team not being great, but they are unfortunately causing us to, you know, and after that first game, like think about that first preseason game, how much they made us doubt our squad.
Michael Jordan's stolen enough of the league's heart and soul and money from us. Cam Irvin has gotten his opportunity to get generational wealth. Now, I'm actually kind of interested that they. I find it a little surprising that they did go through with all of that. Like they didn't keep one of those guys because they're worried about the depth. They're worried about the injuries. Austin Corbett got put on the PUP list. And I also was surprised that all the tight end group made it. So we got that. We got a lot more to talk about. We've got the NFL news. Jonathan Taylor continues to be the focus. He is now on the PUP list as he was unable to acquire his trade. Bradley Roby, my guy who I wanted the year we drafted. We did the first draft party, guys. The first draft party was the Kelvin Benjamin year. So Bradley Roby was drafted the same year that Kelvin Benjamin was. He was my draft crush. I had two draft crushes that year, Bradley Roby and Allen Robinson. And we got Funchess and the next year, we got Fat Benjamin. We got all about them Benjamins, which strangely Benjamin put up crazy numbers in Carolina for historic. Yeah. And then he had a decent, you know, I mean, Cam just always fed him the ball, it felt like. So,
well, he was a big target and he was very good at contested catches. He just was not a good separator on his routes. And so,
or a worker of like practice, a worker in the fitness room. Anyway, we've got a ton to talk about. We'll be going position group by position group, cut by cut. We want to let you guys know what this team is looking like and what they need to do, because right now it does not feel like the Carolina Panthers are outright done. I think they are surveying the landscape. We heard Dan Morgan so specifically talk last week about how excited he was for this moment and how they were going to go and really start looking for, you know, ways to continue to bolster their role. So just because these guys are on the team does not mean that they're safe. And I've got a crazy take that maybe a quarterback could be on the move. And maybe that quarterback isn't Matt Corral. We'll see.
Andy Dalton.
I wonder, is he going to be the guy we trade in month one. Who knows?
I somehow doubt it.
All right. I've got a theory. We'll talk about it. The number's 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. I want to remind you guys, we're sponsored by Caldera Lab. Go to calderalab.com/C3. If you want to look good, feel good, man, we don't take care of ourselves enough. This is a twice-a-day skin regimen in multiple steps, from a facial cleanse to facial lotion. At night, you get the serum. And I tell you, you can immediately feel your skin getting fresher, tighter. It takes care. It's like combating the deep, what are these things? Wrinkles that we get in frustration as we've been frowning at that offensive line for the last 10 years, right? Look at that. I got to fight those. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to fight it with a twice-a-day regimen of top-end skincare products from calderalab.com/C3, where you get 20% off your first order. And I'm telling you, I've been using these things for 2 weeks. It's probably the healthiest my skin has ever or been in my adult life, because, again, barbarian, I barely, just moving and shaking. Sometimes you got to take care of yourselves, guys. My wife, she takes care of herself. She's beautiful. My wife is beautiful. She always looks great. She never walks out the door not looking funky. I walk out, I'm like, good God, it looks like somebody just stumbled into life. But man, when I take care of myself, I look good, I feel good. And I feel better than Michael Jordan, because I wash my face with all of those awesome products from calderalab.com/C3, 20% off your first order. Help support us by supporting our sponsors, or just, I don't know, smash the thumbs up button, subscribe, call in. Cody, let's jump into the show.
Yeah, man, let's jump into the show. Now the 53-man roster has been finalized, and we will jump into that in a moment. But first, let's go through some of these cuts and let us determine who the biggest surprises were. And let's just go down the list real quick here. I'm going to list all the names that were cut within that time. Spencer Brown, Shi Smith, Javon Wims, Josh Van, RIP to Kev, Justin McCray, Michael Jordan, Deontay Brown.
Yeah, but they're planning on putting him on the practice squad.
Yeah, I did hear that. Sam Tecklenburg, J.D. Dorenzo, Raekwon Williams, Kobe Jones, Iku Leota, Jordan Thomas, Deion Jones, Brandon Smith, Ace Ely, Eric Rowe, that was G-Baby's guy, Keith Taylor, Stanley Thomas Oliver, Herb Miller, Matt McClain, Mark Milton, Greg Mabin, Cam Irving, and Taylor Stallworth. Now, boys, if you don't mind, I'm going to jump in here first, because to me, there are two moves specifically that lack a ton of common sense. We brought in Deion Jones because we were thin at the linebacker position, and we wanted some meaningful depth, and we wanted a player that we could trust and depend on, and we chose to run with him instead of Brandon Smith, a young player with a lot of physical talent and a lot of potential. And now we ended up cutting both of them in one afternoon. Like, knowing that the Panthers have had such a hard time stopping the run over the past few years, now we're moving to a 3-4 defense. Why am I supposed to expect that we're going to be any better stopping the run this year? It seems as though our linebacker depth and our defensive tackle depth at the moment is kind of painfully underserviced, leading a lot of people to believe that maybe we might still make some moves right there. But the fact that we gave up on Deion Jones after just signing him, and Brandon Smith after just drafting him, a year or two ago, like, they're not even looking to develop some of the young players that have been here a while that have potential. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's a bad move for our depth. And out of all the moves that were made today, that is, in my opinion, by far the most confusing out of all those different cuts that I read off.
Yeah.
Deion Jones is living off of name recognition and reputation, not off of production. Number one. Kruger Hill, or what's his name? The Kruger Hill, the guy, the Hawaiian.
Mhm.
He has produced, and he has been one of those journeyman guys that's moved around and been one of those linebackers that always plays above their pay grade and above their name
Right.
recognition. He reminds me a little bit of who was the guy that people used to always say was kind of like they would confuse him with Luke, that other white linebacker that we had. That he went and played for the Saints.
AJ Klein.
Yeah, AJ Klein, right? Is a guy like that he doesn't come with the name flair of a Deion Jones. But look, is Deion Jones had and if we want to, I mean, we don't want to overjudge by such a small showing. He was late. It was a late pickup, a late addition, but he didn't really play well in the preseason. He wasn't making plays. So are you really going to cut Kamar over him? No, right? And I think here is that I think the Brandon, what's his name? Brandon Smith. That one is surprising because it always sucks when we follow these teams so closely that we think that these 3rd and 4th and 5th round picks actually make a difference. You see teams that like, hey, when they hit a 4th round pick and it makes a difference, you're like, that's good drafting. That's good drafting.
Right.
But really, I guess outside of the 3rd round, man, you're always fighting day in and day out, scrapping for your job. I was a little surprised, but I think too, what you see is that Matt Rule's drafting strategy had one single element to it, and he just drafted traits. He drafted athleticism, and I don't think the Brandon Smith was all that good in college or all that productive, but met all his rack score was awesome. So right now, I feel pretty good about this. Strangely, I think this tells us that they really believe in Frankie Louvu. And the Kruger Hill guy, or I got to get his name right. I got to look at him.
I believe it's Camus. Kruger Hill. Kamu. Camus Kruger Hill.
Kamah Kruger Hill. I'm going to be saying that all season. I need to get it right. Kamar or Kamah?
Well, no, that's the thing. You hope you're going to be saying it. Camus.
Oh, I will be saying that. He's been playing better than anybody. He made more plays than Shaq Thompson.
This is my point. Right now, none of the guys that we have at the position are, I mean, okay, outside linebacker, we're okay with Justin Houston and Brian Burns, but I don't know, Shaq and Frankie Louvu, and then you literally have not a lot behind them. I don't know, man.
Well, you're not going to be playing 3 inside linebackers in this system, though. You're only going to be putting out there 2 most of the time, I would think. Right? You 3, 2, and 5, right? 3, 2.
But I mean, again, injuries happen.
Or 3, 2, 2, 4.
It's just to me that doesn't say that that we have a lot of depth at 2 very important positions. Dilo Entertain says Camus Grugier Hill.
Grugier Hill. Camus Grugier Hill. Camus Grugier Hill.
Is that the full last name? Or is that the whole name?
No, look, so I don't feel that worried about this because I didn't feel great about the other guys.
All right. Greg and CK, y'all jump in on this, man. What are your surprise cuts from this list?
I'll let you go, Greg.
Yeah, honestly, when I look at it, the Brandon Smith cut with the fact that we drafted him so recently is kind of a surprise. And I've got to go with Glenn and with the Eric Rowe, to be honest with you. I think this is a position that we are not very strong in. And I think that cutting players who are there and know the system is a bad idea.
Or at least a veteran at the very
at least a veteran, yeah. And Eric Rowe's not a terrible player. I don't know if I'm the same level as Glenn with like how good Eric Rowe is, but I think it's a very crazy cut. Like you're telling me there's somebody on the team better than him in the depth chart. That
Bradley Roby's about to be added. I don't
maybe.
We'll see.
Well, maybe they're making room for him. I don't know.
Maybe.
But I got to go with
or
that.
Or they just don't love those guys. Rowe is the guy that got just embarrassed on that big play, CK. The one, what was it, where they like walked backwards into the end zone after throwing it 40 yards? That was on Eric Rowe.
That was the Daniel Jones one, right?
Plays.
Yeah.
But no, listen, I think that I'm surprised by 2 names on here. And I think Rowe can be a part of this because I know he's safety. But there are two cornerbacks, Keith Taylor and Stanley Thomas Oliver. I'm not saying they were world beaters, but when we have a very
who was the first one?
Keith Taylor and Stanley Thomas
Yeah,
Oliver.
both of these were interesting to me.
Because we have cornerbacks that have question marks around their ability to stay on the field, right? And the hope is that that's not going to be an issue this year, right? But you also have to question whether that's something that is going to be a mistake as we move forward. And there's still some moves to be made, right? We have a pretty high, unless we've actually taken anybody off of waivers, which I don't think we have. We're
like at the top of the waiver list or in the front of the pack, right?
Right. We have a lot of options potentially to be able to go and get somebody, but man, I don't know, man. It just seems odd because it feels like our cornerback depth is already weak as can be, and to take those pieces off the board, that just seems a bit odd to me.
I like this. At first, I didn't think Bradley Roby was going to be the fit, but as you continue to see this fill out, you don't want. If you are going to have those injury problems or the concerns of injury problems at outside corner, you do want to have some depth of guys that have been there and done that before. Now, Bradley Roby has historically been a nickel corner, and I know that we're going to really be trying to play Jeremy Chin a lot at that spot. Jeremy Chin is going to do great against the bigger body guys, but the smaller, shiftier guys that are in the slot, he might have a little bit more trouble with. I wonder if a guy like Bradley Roby brings the veteran presence in enough to where he could fill in on the outside temporarily if needed. And in fact, that's kind of what I thought Eric Rowe is a guy that had experience playing safety, outside corner, inside, the versatility. That was a big deal. Look, Keith Taylor, was he drafted last year or the year before?
Year before.
So this was going to be his third season.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
And Thomas Oliver, a lot of people have always talked well about him, but what I think this coaching staff said, and here's a name that I think helps us see this, is Raekwon Williams was a little surprising to me because he played. I'm pretty sure he was the one that played. Let me check the defensive line because there were two Williams. Yeah, he played. No, Deshaun Williams is the other one. So we had two Williams. But, we went young and thin, or young in the defensive tackle group. So I feel like one thing that this team made a statement by cutting maybe Shi Smith, maybe Keith Taylor, maybe Brandon Smith is like, we just don't really have, if you're not making significant or noteworthy strides to get better each year, Stanley Thomas Oliver, and we're just living on the hope of potential. Let's just cut bait and move on.
But that question also brings into, the concern. Everybody in the chat is also talking about it. I think one of the biggest surprises is the people that are on this list, but an entire position group that is not. And that is the tight ends. Like, we've been living on the potential.
We thought two of them were getting cut.
We thought three at least were, to be honest with you. I mean, because when you look at, they've been living off the potential of these guys for a minute. The only person that's pretty much guaranteed a roster spot, I think, is going to be Hayden Hurst. And so now we have five.
Well, we paid Ian Thomas.
So. Well, all right. So what do you make of this?
Did
you think that echoes how important tight end is going to be in this offense? Or are we thinking that maybe if the Panthers are going to make another move here soon, that one of these extra tight ends, that's the easier cut to make?
I think this is going to be, and Greg, my fault. I mean, I was just saying, I think that this is going to be they know that if they cut any of these guys off of the team, they're going to be picked up off the waiver, right?
Who?
Any of these tight ends. They're going any tight end that we have on the team. Up? Listen, this is a tight end hungry league right now. Like they're gonna try and take the potential of these guys and hope that they can pull it out, right? Especially somebody like Ian Thomas, who has the ability to block well. Ricci, who clearly looked like he was running back 2 in this league based on that preseason game. Oh yeah, we're tied into. And Steven Sullivan, is he still on the team? Because if he is, he has a lot of potential too, right?
So why don't we look at this roster?
Well,
because we have
Greg. Go ahead.
Hold on. Yeah, before we get too far away from it, I want to add 2 comments there. One, I want to go back to the cornerback thing. If we sign Eric Rowe, this is a 53-man cut. Like, who do we cut if we sign Eric Rowe?
No,
Because
you mean
one of the guys on
Bradley
this team
Roby?
is already cut.
Bradley
We're gonna
Roby.
have to
We
sign
just
some-
cut Eric Rowe. You
I'm
mean
sorry,
Bradley
yeah.
Roby? Yeah.
Roby,
No, we
right,
got
sorry,
you. You were
yeah.
talking about Roby. We got you.
Roby, yeah. Who
We're
do we
gonna-
cut if we sign Roby?
Well, it's this group. It's Steven Sullivan, it's Ian Thomas, or it's Tommy Trimble.
Yeah.
Or Ricci. I mean, look, is Panax said, by the way, Panax, check out, he's got a YouTube channel. He's a musician. You guys need to check his stuff out. These guys, none of their jobs were secure before this moment. So I think you're just kind of padding it right now, seeing like maybe you're onto something, CK, but who the heck are you going to trade here? Tommy Trimble?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
what do you give away for Roby? Like, what do you cut for Roby? And
Really
you guys talking
sucks.
about
We have not
tight end
drafted
coming
well.
in the free agency being cut.
Right.
This
That's
really
another player.
just shows
who
we
you're cutting
haven't.
for the tight end.
So we're going to talk about that in a minute, but we're going to talk more about Fitterer because all of this has prompted a discussion about Scott. But I wanted to just kind of go over real quick the 52-man roster. Again, I'll just kind of go through the names here. DJ Chark, Terrace Marshall, Jonathan Mingo, LaVisca Chenault, our brand new wide receiver, and we're going to talk about that trade in a minute. Amir Smith, Marset, Adam Thielen, Derek Wright, Hayden Hurst, Giovanni Ricci, that's Muscles Marineris guy, Stephen Sullivan, Ian Thomas, Tommy Trimble, Ikem Ekwonu, Ricky Lee, which is a name I'm not too familiar with, Taylor Moton, Vaughn Bell, Jeremy Chin, Sam Franklin Jr., Jamie Robinson, and Xavier Woods, Raheem Blackshear, Chuba Hubbard, Miles Sanders, Matt Corral still here. That's another interesting one that we should discuss.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton, Bryce Young, Johnny Hecker, Amari Barno, Brian Burns, Detor Gross-Matos, Marquise Haynes, Justin Houston, DJ Johnson, JJ Jansen, Camus, Cruz Hill, Frankie Lulu, Shaq Thompson, Chandler Wooten. By the way, Chandler Wooten is another name at linebacker that people have been very impressed with and have been saying his name amongst Hill. Where was Chandler Wooten? Eddie Pinero, Brady Christensen, Nash Jensen. A lot of people like Cade Mays, Chandler Zavala, Derek Brown, LeBrian Ray, Shai Tuttle, Deshaun Williams, Nick Thuman, CJ Henderson.
Who is Nick Thurman? I don't even know that guy.
Is a defensive end. Troy Hill, J.C. Horn, Dante Jackson, and Bradley Bozeman. That is your 53-man roster. Gentlemen, what are we thinking about this roster?
There's two things that stand out to me right away. Column 1, top 2 position groups. We have 7 wide receivers and 5 tight ends. There's no way you can roster that many of both of those position groups together. It's going to just pull away so much from another part of the football team. So I think that's where our lead starts. If we know that there is at least 1 to 2 position groups that have a player that's going to have, that's just too much, right? I mean, think about it. The Panthers, I think, have only kept 7 receivers one time in their history like this. So this might be the second time I did it. Went back through it. It was when Steve Smith was hurt and they just didn't know what the hell they were doing. And this was like in 2007 or something. Or remember when Steve Smith like broke his arm and playing flag football or something? Or maybe it was in the preseason game. He broke his leg. I mean, he did something crazy. And all of a sudden they're like, holy shit, what are we going to do? I think we had that the dumb one from USC, Dwayne Jarrett that year. But look, you can't roster 7 receivers and 5 tight ends. So I want us to then look at the rest of the group. Where is the weak group somewhere else?
It's
got to be the offensive line.
I
think it's the offensive line, man. You only got 3 tackles. You've only got 1 center.
I agree. I think the offensive line. Here's the thing with the tight ends for the wide receivers. I don't think you can cut any more people. Like you can't
with the wide receivers.
Yeah, dude.
You don't. I think
look at that list.
Cut.
Hold on.
I think I'm on the Chenault cut.
No.
Train now.
Look at that list. Look at that list and name the amount of them that have been hurt this preseason already.
Well, yeah, Shark, Marshall, Chenault.
And we saw Thielen get hurt in a preseason game, even though he came back in.
Right was dealing with
got
a
hurt.
knee injury.
If I'm not mistaken, Mingo got some sort of like it wasn't anything big. It was something they kept him out maybe one practice. If I may be wrong on that and thinking about somebody else, but like every single person that is a wide receiver has been hurt on our team already in training camp and preseason. Like, and it may not be long or big injuries or anything like that, but it's worth expressing that I know that we have 7 wide receivers. I don't know that you can cut any of them right now until you know that they can stay healthy. Like, you have too much. At least there's a mix and match option that can happen here. Like, if Mingo goes down, you have Terrace Marshall. If Thielen goes down, at least you have Shark, right? If something happens to somebody else, you have Chenault, right? Like, there's still that aspect of it. But if you start cutting any more of that, I don't think you have a lot of flexibility. Tight end has got to be a priority to be able to get that down to 3 tight ends. You cannot carry 5 tight ends into the regular season,
especially 2 really bad ones.
Or 2 not
imagine carrying 5 bad tight ends into the list.
I'm not
our roster. We're gonna beat you with bad tight
Ian
end.
Thomas still being on the team.
Like, we paid him though. We paid him though. He's got to be here.
So what? We paid Deion Jones. We paid Demir Bird. Demir got hurt, but still, it's like that doesn't. I don't know. He hasn't done much of anything for us, and to me, that's just strange, man. 4 cornerbacks on the roster, which again, that kind of leads to Tony's Bradley Roby theory that maybe that might be a consideration for us. And that Dante Jackson has had his fair share of injuries. Now, Dante is saying that he's prepared to be out there week 1.
What about the offensive line, dude? Think about this. Is we just heard Austin Corbett, which we assumed. I was pretty confident this was how it was going to pan out, that he was going to be on IR, unless he was going to only need 1 more week, which I couldn't believe. So the Panthers actually initiated kind of their beginning of their cuts by announcing that Austin Corbett would be put on the PUP list. And I guess that's like temporary IR, like short-term IR, maybe.
Yeah, 4 games, yeah.
Yeah, it's 4 games. But think about this, is that first you've got Akim Ekwonu, who has not had the greatest preseason, right? But I mean, we're believers. I'm a believer in Akim Ekwonu. I think the team is, right? They've got too much. So it's not like he's going to be benched or whatever. But you've had Akim Ekwonu, you got Taylor Moton, just like those locking down there. You got people that don't really believe in Brady Christensen, even though he's had arguably the best preseason out of all of the offensive linemen.
By far the most consistent.
But we've had real concerns on that offensive line. And they started with right guard. Zavala has played well or better each time we've seen him out there, but he's still a rookie. Don't you think this is this is risky at this point, saying this is we're going to rock with Brady Christensen, Chandler Zavala, and their backups are Nash Jensen and Cade Mays. And that's all we need. And Bradley Bozeman is the only guy. I guess Cade May is going to be our center. I just feel like it just is really dependent on people staying healthy.
But yeah, but also Tony, we can have that same conversation about what I said earlier with linebacker. Like, yeah, if the starters stay healthy, then okay. But there's not a lot behind it.
But you can think of Jeremy Chin as potentially playing a kind of in that role. I don't think inside linebacker is as important in a 3-4, is it? Or is it more important? I don't know.
No, I mean, dude, I think it's even more important. I mean, we already know that. Yeah, dude, what have we always said, right? That what it offers you in pass rush, it takes away a little bit in the run game. That it's a little bit easier to run the ball on a 3-4. And we were a 4-3, and we were already having problems with run defense. To me, you're just a couple of injuries away from a bunch of camp warriors. If you want to say Jensen and the other offensive linemen, whatever, that they're like camp warriors, well, Cruz Hill, hey, for as great as he has played, or Wooten, for as great as they have played, like, I'm sorry, those names just don't inspire confidence in me. So to me, the linebacker and the offensive line, it's like the same conversation. Like, yeah, if they stay healthy, we might be okay, but the depth, it just leaves wanting.
Can you say they haven't inspired confidence in you based on the lack of playtime? And the lack
Yeah, I
of
don't. I mean, like, what inspires
that's what I'm
confidence
wondering.
about having Deion Jones and like the whoever else on the team? That doesn't make me feel any better.
Because
my question is, you champion for
football than Hill.
Yeah. Well, my question is, you champion for like Christensen, right? Before he's really proven himself. What makes you not champion for these other guys? Have they
No,
not
because
proven themselves?
how has Brady not proven himself?
I'm not saying Brady hasn't. What I'm saying is, have these other guys not proven themselves?
No, that is my point. On offensive line and on linebacker, we have a bunch of guys that, as of right now, they're training camp warriors. But say whatever you want about Deion Jones. Look, if he wasn't good, he wasn't good. And if that's why you cut him, then fine. But you signed him because he had played meaningful NFL snaps. He had made a Pro Bowl before, and you needed depth at that position. Then you let go of not only him, but the newly drafted, only like a year or two ago, linebacker that had a ton of physical potential that you could have used at that position. And they just choose like, no, we're not going to develop him. We're going to go with these other players. It's just questionable to me.
I hear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing: is that we have a lot of people in the chat who have a similar take to that, and one person in particular has re-upped for the third month, and that is Zach. And he wanted to say in his re-up message, he said they need to bring in corner and defensive line. Zach, thank you again for re-upping on that C3 super fan membership. It's only $1.99. Anybody in chat interested in doing so, it helps support the channel. It's only $1.99. Gives you some cool little emotes that you can use, such as a wet blanket, which we'll probably be using a little bit later for yours, your stat daddy here. But I do appreciate that, Zach, and welcome back to your third month.
And thank you guys for your support. The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. You know, the Carolina. All right. So if we look at this, I mean, all right. So if we're kind of if we're kind of trying to balance the theory. So the theory is that there's too many loaded at wide receiver and tight end and not enough guys at linebacker and offensive line. Period. Right. Is like it, and I don't know if it's guard. I don't know if it's center guard or whatever the hell you want to describe them as. But those usually we're talking about, we have 3 tackles, 3, 4, and 4 guards, 7. We've got 8 offensive linemen on this team. I feel like in many years past, we walked into the league with like the year with like 10 offensive linemen. You know, I don't know if like, I mean, it feels like it's always been heavier than that. So if CK is sort of right that this wide receiver group is too tenuous to, you know, cut there first. I mean, the guy, the Derek Wright guy might be that cut that moves to a practice squad type of guy. Then that one of those tight end groups, tight end positions is going to need to fill or help us acquire a guard. And the question is, how do you do that? I don't know how we can cut Derek Wright, because I feel like every time we got our white receiver, bro, we're going to the Super Bowl. We got our, I mean, look, Ricky Pro, Super Bowl. We had Ricky Pro was on our team, Super Bowl. Brenton Burson.
Was he really on that team?
Yeah, bro. He played like a big deal. Like, that was the whole thing. It was Burson, Brown, and Ginn. It was like the law firm, they called it.
No, that was 2017.
He was on all the teams. We
had Brown, Burson, Ginn. We had Kotchery, Funchess, but yeah, Burson was on the. Burson somehow stuck around this team for like 5 years.
It's kind of like the Tecklenburg thing. Is I didn't know Tecklenburg was still on this team until he got cut today.
Right.
But I think that's another guy that I always heard Matt Rule talk about. It's like, oh, Sam Tecklenburg. I was like, man, shut the hell up. Shut up. And by the way, Matt Rule is back in the news.
Oh, yeah.
He's back in the news. It's going to be fun. We're going to.
Hey, Charlotte Sports 1 with the $2 says, share these fools. 157 viewers, 18 likes. Appreciate you, bro. I don't know, man. Like,
Jeez, that's shameful.
well, I don't know.
18
might-
likes. That can't
Sometimes
be.
you have
might
to
need to-
refresh.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta refresh it, bro. I appreciate the sentiment though. We're at 67 right now.
But
But
still.
definitely hit that. Definitely hit that like button. All right, so let's do this, right? Because we're having the conversation.
Oh, before we move on, I do want to say this, guys. You know, one thing that we can do also to help the algorithm is to develop the comments after the video's over.
Yes.
Right?
comment
Like,
section.
so here's what I'm going to do. Now, Google or YouTube has a new feature where you can respond to comments in a short. So if you leave a comment and it's more than just like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Any type of comment, I'll give you a short response. How about that? Tony Dunn.
You,
the
you better
professor-
not. You better not put that much because you might have to do 300 videos. You could say like, I
want
will
to.
pick my favorite ones.
No, you know what? We'll start with I'm doing all of them.
Yeah.
Let's see it. Punish me tomorrow, folks. Punish me in the comment section. I'm coming back at you. You can debate the professor right there.
Do it. I'm even gonna do it too. You're gonna be replying to me too. I like that.
Nice.
I like
All right,
that.
let's rock.
So yeah, man, let's just jump back into this conversation. But the Panthers made another move today, and if this tells you anything about our wide receiver depth and what the Panthers thought about it, the Panthers announced that they traded for Chiefs wide receiver / returner Emir Smith-Marset. It's a swap for conditional 2025 7th rounder. So the Panthers receive Emir Smith-Marset, and the Chiefs receive a conditional 2025 7 and a round pick swap.
No, so this is misleading, Cody, is that we didn't give them that we swapped our 7th rounders. We didn't even it wasn't like so we took our 7th, we traded.
Oh, that's the swap.
So we didn't so we didn't give anything away. We just moved back in the 7th.
It tells you what the Chiefs believe we're going to be this year,
which is bad.
Yeah, they
or
believe
that he's going to be important to the team because the condition I think is him actually making the roster.
Well,
I think that's where the conditional part is that if he plays, then it could turn into something more. Yeah.
Right. But my point being is like their belief, and the reason they did this is because they believe that they're going to be having a higher 7th round, like they're going to be picking later in the 7th round than we will be. Right. So their belief is that which they have the right to believe that, by the way. They're one of the best teams in the NFL, if not the best team in the NFL. But it's when you have if they're just swapping 7th and giving us a player, their belief is that our 7th is going to be more valuable than their 7th.
Yeah, but who cares at that point? I really don't care about our 7th. I'm excited about this player, though. Emir Smith-Marset. This guy is a badass. And here's a fun part about this is that Adam Thielen was important in the Carolina Panthers making this move that they inquired because Adam Thielen is a Minnesota graduate. And I think that either Smith-Marset either went to Iowa or but like somehow
no, they both played in Minnesota.
Okay, so he's Minnesota. So they asked. So Adam Thielen had watched him in college, and then also watched him, kind of followed him in the preseason, and he had made some big plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. But here's where I really love this pick right here. This guy is the Big Ten all-time Big Ten. I think that it is return guy or something like the most yards or something to that effect. So what I like about this is that we never have had any faith in our return game, our punt returns, our kickoff. In fact, it's something, to be honest, I've thought about on this show that we have been irresponsible in not talking about. Right? It's like we haven't talked about who our punt returners are, who our kickoff returners are. And to be honest, it's because I don't know who they are. I truly don't. Is I thought, man, Blackshear. Okay, maybe Blackshear's getting some work. You thought Shi Smith might be getting some work. This right here probably was because they were hoping that Damiere Byrd was going to contribute at some of these things. I think this guy might make the team because of his special teams or be interesting. That's where Derek Wright might not have the advantage here. Dude, this guy He's fast, dude. This
Yeah,
guy is. Look at this.
He was a great returner for Iowa. That's where he went to college.
I thought you said he went to Minnesota.
No, he played for the Minnesota Vikings, but his college was at Iowa.
Oh, he was in Minnesota as a Viking.
Yeah, he was a Minnesota Viking.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay, I was right then.
I have some clips from that game too, but you see he has great vision, and he's a burner, man.
He is fast, dude. Look at this shit.
Very fast. The guy can get upfield, and that's one of his biggest assets. And my question is, are we just valuing him as a returner, or do we think that it's possible for him to be able to do some damage actually as a roster or on the wide receiver core, like, having the football thrown to him?
I can't imagine that would be the case, that they're really seriously thinking that's a possibility.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
look at the speed on this cat, dude.
So, by the way, this week 18 against the Chicago Bears, I believe 2 years ago, had 103 yards. And you see the man, he could run away. I mean, he had to turn around for that ball, but he tracks the football well. He can get upfield fast. And this is a problem that everybody was complaining about due to clips of our final preseason game, that a lot of our receivers were blanketed. Now, missing DJ Chark, missing Terrace Marshall. But you see, man, the guy's nimble. He can move around. He can make some plays. Is he just a returner, or could he be someone that could take the top off of the defense for us?
He certainly doesn't lack confidence. In fact, let's go ahead and play the clip of him where they asked him what they were asking him about getting cut, the potential. And I don't know exactly when this clip came from, when he was with the Vikings, or if this is when he's with the Chiefs, but they were asking about the nerves and the anxiety that comes with being cut. This is awesome.
You know who you are. Who do you think you are as a receiver?
One of the baddest motherfuckers in the league. That's all I'm gonna say.
What do you think the next 48, 72 hours is going to be like? And, Tuesday at 3:00 to find out what's going on.
Stressful. That's all, stressful. Because I don't know.
So this is on.
I love this dude. I love this dude. And then did you hear Frank Reich say he's got I think what they call big energy? And the whole crowd today laughed at him. And I was wondering if it was just a bunch of old white dudes laughing at the idea that they all listen to, who is her name? The big girl, the big dick energy.
Well, my big dick energy is a very.
What's the song? Isn't there a song? We can't hear you, CK. You're muted. He fell out of favor.
No, you're good. You're good. Sorry.
The girl that's getting sued right now, didn't she have a song?
Lizzo?
Isn't she the one that had a song with that? Look, here's another old white guy talking about it.
Yeah, dude,
I'm making fun. I'm making fun of them. Hey, I'm making fun of them, and I'm making fun of myself simultaneously. No, I like that, dude. But you know what? And we need a return guy. Fuck that, man. Like, look, Shi Smith didn't do shit. See, when you are on the bubble, dude, you got to make your name on special teams. That's where my baby bird superior to Shi Smith in those cases, because that's how he fought and survived, by playing out there on special teams and contributing. But I don't know if we have a true answer or confidence what we're doing. Didn't we trot out Laviska Shenault last year on kickoffs?
Yeah, we didn't have a great answer at kickoffs. By the way, the chat is informing us it's Lotto, not Lizzo.
Don't even know who Lotto is. I don't even know who that is. So now I'm totally No, so this joke is hitting hard. The same. It's slapping twice right now.
Yeah. So this is Frank Wright talking about Emir Smith-Marset.
I think he's a really good route runner, very good hands. I know he's a smart guy, so we like our if you're on our roster, you need to be able to play all three positions because we move guys around a lot. And so
kind of jump out you. He had a pretty good preseason.
Yeah, had a good preseason, productive preseason, can catch punts. So if he factors in there, he could factor in there, could not factor in there. We'll see how it all plays out. But just feel like he had some inside info because he was in Minnesota with Adam Thielen. So, you know, they would call Adam and say, Adam, tell me about this guy. You know what I mean? So that inside information from another player, that always is helpful.
Yeah, so Adam Thielen helped recruit him here, but also he mentioned the fact that he could play all three positions, that he could play three wide receiver positions. So they really like the talent that they have in him.
Somebody in the chat said this, and they said this was pretty neat. I like to hear this. Is they said that they disagreed with me, and they do see him being a contributor on the field. And that brings us to the question of this. And I put this up there. Can we go to the Adam Thielen slot where we got the picture of Adam Thielen? Is our wide receiver group, which we were really high on, you know, is it weak now because we've gotten into injury territory? We've, you know, is there actually a room for a guy like this to come in and be a top burner? You know, because look, as you looked at the QB school guy, right? And did you guys see some of the clips that are floating around about like how great Bryce looks? But then they're like, oh, man, this is really, look at how slow they are. And they also, I saw a stat too, that Thielen and Shark, for some chip technology, were the least, like in the 150s in separation last year. I don't know, like, I never heard of this chip technology tracking where they put in their shoe, where they fucking put it. Not heard of this, but I saw this tweet and it was just like, all right, I don't expect Adam Thielen to be getting a bunch of separation. He's our possession receiver. I did go, what the fuck? Shark is like runs a 4.3, dude. How's he not getting separation?
That's what pissed me off, is that whenever it went viral, and it wasn't just him, there was a bunch of people that made clips talking about how the Panthers have a wide receiver problem. And like literally two of our best speedsters in DJ Chark and Terrace Marshall Jr. are not on the field. So again,
I don't think we can bank on Terrace Marshall Jr. at all, though. Now,
okay, I just had an entire conversation in the Twitter Spaces. Nobody thinks that they can bank on DJ Chark either. So
that's sad.
Again,
I was so pumped that Chark was going to blow up.
We're going to be, and he still might. And this is what I've been telling everybody: it's not time to panic yet. If we're going to do it, minor injuries at the wide receiver position, I would rather deal with them early in the year as opposed to later. Right. Let them get healthy. They're on track to be there versus Atlanta. Let's see what it looks like when we're at full power. We didn't see the defense with Brandon Smith and Justin Houston, and we've barely seen this offense with DJ Chark and Terrace Marshall Jr. really out there running how they're supposed to. So I'm not freaking out about this yet. This is the one area that I don't think the Panthers could have done anything different than what they did. I wanted to sign DeAndre Hopkins, but
maybe we should go trade for Devontae Adams, dude. KG73 says Shark gets jammed up at the line a lot. What's up, Kev? And Patty Grimes says Shark was hurt most of the year for the Lions. So I wonder if that contributes to the numbers and the separation statistics or something, you know, smaller sample set or something to that effect. But there were a lot of people that were complaining over, was it the second preseason game that like he was just blanketed? And they were like, I mean, and I know he had played a little, but we said, oh, where was DJ Shark? We saw him in game 1, but I don't think he had one catch in preseason game 2, but people were calling that out. We'll have to watch and anticipate or look to see, can DJ Shark, and look, DJ Shark's playing for money, bro, this year. And I always saw him Shark. I need to call him Chark. His name is Chark. Chark. Yeah, I call him Shark. I call it Shark. It's French.
Chark.
It's French. It's Shark.
Yeah.
Chark. Camus Gruger Hill. Camus Gruger
Hill.
Gruger Hill. Camus. It sounds like a cheese.
Yeah, dude, there's a French theme going on. It's all like kind of French.
We've got shark. Well, on the menu, shark meat and Gruger cheese.
Realistically,
never put cheese with fish. By the way,
what are we supposed to think about the receivers? Like, and that's I already kind of made my point. I don't feel that the Panthers could have done anything more.
We could have signed DeAndre Hopkins. We didn't even have to trade for him.
Didn't want to play. He didn't want to play for.
Or
a
we
look.
didn't court him enough. Man, he wanted to play for money, homie. That's what he put. He signed up for money. He
I
didn't.
would have paid
He
him.
didn't go to say, "Oh, I want to go play with Ryan Tannehill." Fucking Malik Willis is out there probably going to win the damn. Well, no, I won't say win the job.
Well, he also went to Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray had ups and downs. He had said publicly he didn't want to start off fresh with another rookie quarterback under center. And I understand. I also think he overblew it a little bit. And knowing that Bryce is already looking like a polished veteran, like imagine DeAndre Hopkins in this offense. Like that would be the final.
Or
piece.
how about
Oh, man.
Devontae Adams in this offense, homie? But guess what? We don't have a first round pick next year, so we're not going to be able to trade for Devontae.
But
Adams.
he's that now that they got
It costs
rid
like
of
$9 billion.
now that the Raiders got rid of Darren Waller, that's the only real weapon that they had. They're not.
And
letting
your
go
boy
of him.
Michael Mayer.
Yeah, but they just drafted him.
Yeah. Michael Wydrick says he asked if Rajon Wright played a single snap this preseason. If he didn't, I'm pissed about that. I saw some people talking about this and that they were like, potentially we just got too hopeful on Rajon Wright because of his connection, like because you had
we
a
do that
personal
every year.
connection with him because of what was that show he was on where he was with that dude, the Last Chance U?
He was
Right.
on that
So
show.
like, you have an investment with that player. That's a great question though, is like, how much did these guys actually play? Because we didn't get to see. I felt like it was like Cam Peoples didn't even get a chance to play until the final game.
And we saw why.
Yeah, coughed it up on saying, but he did have a touchdown.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
No, he
yeah,
didn't.
his foot hit the pylon. That was a touchdown, dude.
That was not a touchdown.
Yes,
he
it
let
was.
go of the ball.
Oh, he did? Is that what
yeah.
happened?
That was the one that he
I
fumbled into
turned
the
it
end
off
zone.
and then started he actually fumbled it.
He fumbled into the end zone. It was a
I
touchback.
turned it off when I saw his foot hit. Man, as soon as they touch the pylon, it's a touchdown. You don't
No,
have
the ball has to touch the pylon.
Your
He
foot.
dropped the ball.
Oh,
The
wow.
ball has to cross the plane.
Wow. I didn't know because it was at the end of the game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
Or
was like
towards
it
it,
was
and
that
then we
Lutton
jumped
pass.
over
Yeah.
from the 5-day free for all and I was like, oh, and then I turned it, and I know they were reviewing it, but he fumbled it.
Cam
Wow.
had the worst possible game you could have in that game. Yeah.
Jeez,
All right.
he's a good rapper though, guys.
I wanted to bring this up because I feel like this conversation, we're not done having it, but it does need to be had. Because Fitterer, especially given the Matt Rule situation, has kind of been given a pass by a large majority of the fan base. Like looking at the positives rather than some of the negatives that come along with it. But I feel that this is something that we do need to touch on and to reevaluate here. So another thing that was made abundantly clear today is that they are moving on from any Matt Rule draft picks that were still on the roster. Troy Pride, Robinson, Bravion Roy, Davion Nixon, Thomas Fletcher, Hoskins, Smith, Barnes, Deontay Brown, Shai Smith, Thomas Oliver, Keith Taylor, and everyone will say, Matt Rule's boy is out of here. That guy sucks. But pardon me if I'm wrong. Fitterer drafted damn near every one of these dudes, with the exception of maybe a couple that were, maybe a few of them were Hurney.
Right.
But over, Fitterer now
I think these are all.
has a bunch of busts to his name.
I may just want to blame everything on Matt Rule. Like that might just be my natural inclination.
You're not alone.
But I don't know if we heard that Matt Rule was controlling the media department, dude. Like,
Yeah,
you
but
don't think his fingerprints are over this list? We
No
saw
doubt.
you don't think that
No
Thomas
doubt.
Fletcher,
But
the
that's my
Brandon
question.
Smith, the I think Bravion Roy example of that. And so yes, is that the real question, and I hate to say this, it's not a question, is my point is when we hired Frank Wright, we should have fired Scott Fitterer. We should have brought in Frank Wright and his own GM, not because Scott Fitterer deserved to be fired, but because we're asking this fucking question right now. We can't truly surmise if this is Matt Rule's fingerprints on this or if Scott Fitterer was a co-conspirator.
But I think the idea of hiring a head coach and a GM at the same time is something that doesn't happen because it's like next to impossible to be successful. Basically, what you're asking for is the GM to come in here without having the ability to actually scout what their team is going to need with the upcoming year. So they're going to be coming into that with a bit of a handicap where every other team is going to have an entire year's worth of scouts that have actually done their work, right? So whereas I
give
understand
us those scouting reports, their propriety of the Carolina Panthers, right? Thank you for your service. We're coming in here. I think you hire the GM and the coach together. They live and die together because we don't ask these questions, CK. I know I mean, it almost felt like we should have hired we should have just, once we decided to fire Matt Rule, we should have at the end of the season towards the end of the season fired Scott Fitterer. And I actually don't think I'm hoping that Scott Fitterer is going to be freed now. And look, to be honest, there are some things outside this list that Fitterer has done that I think have been noteworthy, particularly getting us Bryce Young for a rather low price.
Yeah, but again, are you looking at this with rose-colored glasses? And remember, I've been a Fitterer defender. I've been very congratulatory of a lot of things that Fitterer has done. But the point being is, unless you're saying that Matt Rule was such a bulldozer that Fitterer literally had zero say-so in any of the players that we were drafting, and none of that can be put on him, keep in mind that there have now been trades that were still like, all right, what the hell was that? We still
like one.
Been,
give me one.
All right, so CJ Henderson.
He made the team, bro. He made the team.
But we didn't pick up his 5th-year option.
Well, that's good. That's fine. You know what? He's got to play it
supposed
up.
to be a shutdown corner, and he has not been that.
You know what? He's not. But we didn't draft him in the first round. We drafted him for the third.
And you signed Dante Jackson instead of Stephon Gilmore. And I mean, I still would prefer to have Stephon Gilmore.
I don't know if Gilmore really wanted to be here, dude.
Yes, he did from Charlotte.
He did. That might be the case. But he was with Matt. No, he saw the fucking dumpster fire that was Matt Rule. No, I don't. I think you guys just want to believe that. I don't think there's any direct evidence that said wanted to stay in Carolina.
If they had chosen to pay Stephon Gilmore, there is no way he would have said no to continuing to play in Charlotte.
So you think you could have gotten the same deal for Stephon Gilmore that you got for Dante Jackson? There's no way Stephon Gilmore is signing a 3-year, $27 million deal. No way. You would have gotten him for 1 year, $16 million.
Sign him for?
All right.
And is it not? And would it not have been more worth it? Yeah, I think so.
He didn't go to the Cowboys though. After us, he went to the Colts.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, I would have done that. And look, that's another thing. The Colts. That's where Frank Reich was. Like, I would have much rather have had the more proven player than Dante Jackson, who's been hurt every year. Granted, he played well last year, but I mean, if you're comparing apples to oranges, I'm just saying right now it all seems very convenient to say, no, it wasn't Fitt's problem. Fitt didn't do that, And look how many late round picks that we drafted that are no longer on the team anymore. You can't tell me that he deserves none of the blame for that.
Well, that's an argument I've been having is like, listen, we don't know what was him and what was not. And that's to Tony's point, right? Is do we want to continue to have this question, or do we want to be able to move forward and have something new? Right. I support the idea of him having gotten this year. I don't think firing him in the same year you fire Matt Rule is going to put this team in a better spot. Honestly, we may not even have been in the running for a Bryce Young, right? So I think that this year is going to be pretty telling. The fact that a lot of the people that he picked in the later rounds are gone now, I think if this draft class we just brought in if we don't have some people that are contributing starters on this team by the end of next year, then you have to put that all on Fitterer. Like there's got to, and he doesn't get absolved from the blame from the other stuff either, right? He's not completely hands washed of the circumstances surrounding Matt Rule. You don't take a job if he took this job knowing that he wasn't going to have roster control. That's a decision that he made, and he's got to live with that. He's got to be held accountable to that as well, right? So that part I think is where I don't necessarily agree that he is where I'm on the same page with Cody. I think that he's got to be given some blame with what we've seen the past 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to be fair.
Let me ask you this then, and I do want to get to some calls. The
two-year, $20 million contract with the Colts, including a $4 million signing bonus, $14 million guaranteed, and an average annual salary of $10 million.
We paid Dante Jackson was a 3-year, $35 million deal, but $16.7 million guaranteed. Gilmore, by the way, has also tacked on an $11 million with the Cowboys that he's going to get this year. Gilmore this is why Gilmore didn't want to stay in Carolina, bro. I'm telling you, he didn't.
Nah, dude,
Gilmore is pulling the old. Who's the God? He's like one of the greatest corners. He went from the Jets to the Bucks, the Patriots. Hold on. In fact, he just got put in the Hall of Fame, and Steve Smith was
Darrelle Revis.
Yeah, Darrelle Revis. Did you see his family in his All-Pro year? One of his All-Pro years when he went to the Hall of Fame. He had his family was wearing a shirt, and it was all the top receivers he had shut down that year. And it was like Steve Smith, 1 catch, 5 yards. Go watch Steve Smith cut to it. And he's like, man, that shirt. Why do you have to do that? That's what he said. He said it was misleading. That was not my career. That was one season against him or something like this. But all right. So here, before we get into the calls, since you are adamant about, since we're having this conversation, what is the good? If this is the bad, what is the bad and what is the good of Scott Fitterer? And why is it that people are giving him grace?
Because of the question marks around how much control Matt Rule actually had.
Okay.
I think we just don't know enough, but we also have to acknowledge that Matt Rule was not was not the one that made the final numbers. Like, he wasn't the numbers guy. He wasn't writing the contracts. He wasn't pulling the trigger on the draft. He was just a contributor. And the person who had to do that was Scott Fitterer, right? With any of the people that we had. As much as you want to believe that Matt Rule was the one calling the league and saying, let's go ahead and draft this guy, it wasn't. Like, it had to be Fitterer who actually called the league and said, hey, listen, this is who we're drafting. Right?
That's not true. It doesn't have to be that way, does it?
I mean, the Fitterer as the general
he was
manager,
a cuck his first year. He didn't do shit his first year. He walked in and was like, "Hey,
but then why sign up? Why sign up to be a cuck? That
was my criticism the whole fucking time about this shit. Well, welcome to the party, bro.
But dude, okay, so then
welcome
you have to
the party. We should have.
You have to put it on him, then.
I've been telling you guys, there's a process. When you bring in a head coach, you bring in the GM first. The GM then concertedly hires their head coach. So then you can't say later on like this, oh, well, if I had a better head coach, these roster moves would have worked right. And all of this, they live together, they die together. They're handcuffed. When you fire one, you fire both. And we did it out of order. We fucking hired Matt Rule with Marty Herney as a
hire your GM before you hire your coach.
Has there ever?
Then there's no
manager should have a say so in the coach that you hire.
But didn't that what we did?
No.
What do you mean?
Herney and the Meatballs. Don't you remember Herney and the Meatballs?
No. Who did Scott Fitterer hire?
Frank Reich. No, Tepper hired. Tepper's wife hired Frank Reich.
Sure, but my point being is Scott Fitterer has never hired a head coach.
Well, he's been part of the process.
The Frank Reich process, but not Matt Rule. So
that's the point.
You hired Scott Fitterer, and now he has made his hire as far as a head coach. that obviously the owner was a part of. So, I mean, to that point,
But
yes.
then you have all this lingering shit that we're talking about, and then we don't know.
Right.
Like we got all of this. We don't know. Is it fucking Fitterer or this? We don't have like. Are they just getting rid of Rule's players too?
Yes. I
And
think
Rule
that's pretty
did
clear.
this to the Rivera crew too. Let's not be,
This is common practice in the NFL. When there's a new regime,
what has Fitterer done good though? Cody. Because he has done good. I think the first round pick, securing that out of nowhere when we thought we were going to lose.
The first round pick, I would say the coaching staff, we have to give credit for that. Everybody's been really big on the coaching staff. Thomas Brown, Giro Rivera, obviously Frank Wright, Deuce Staley, James Campbell is still here. I mean, like
Caldwell, like all the coaches they interview for head jobs, somehow they taught them to be an assistant.
Yeah. Well, and then you also have to add Tepper into the equation, because he's a multi-billionaire that was willing to open up the pocketbook bigger than other teams were able to. That's why we were able to get so many names.
Don't be a pussy, billionaire. Come on. I mean, I'm not going to compliment him for that
Pay
shit.
for your own stadium
not,
too while you're at
I'm not going to compliment Tepper for spending money. Imagine if you went to dinner, if Tepper like invited us out to dinner, and we're like, oh shit, David Tepper invited us out to dinner, and then he wanted us to pick up our own checks. I would be like, fuck you, man. We would have ate at damn Longhorn, not at wherever we're at, Ruth's Chris, or wherever the hell fuck we're at right now.
But I feel like Fitterer, the fact that he is such a cooperative type of guy is that he's not really assertive enough to be a leader on a specific move. So, for example, if he had a specific worry about the wide receiver core, then maybe he pushes a little bit harder to make, to go out and sign DeAndre Hopkins. However, he's so collaborative and he's so considerate of what everyone else wants to do, the coaches. He wants to make everything a joint effort. I think that's a blessing and a curse, because while he's able to team up with, different people and hear different people's opinions, I feel like he doesn't have that zest for talent evaluation and being the leader to say, no, I'm in charge of building this roster. I see a hole right here, and I'm going to be the one to make sure that
I disagree.
Filled.
I disagree with this, because this is acting like he hasn't been aggressive. You went out there, you did that. You went and moved up, got your quarterback. You didn't bait. You didn't get bait. You went with Bryce Young. You assembled your staff. And then you went out and you got Miles Sanders, like Kev is saying in the chat, Hayden Hurst, Adam Thielen, right? You put some pieces on this. Von Bell. Come on. The Von Bell, that's a great signing right there. Right? It's like, if anything, you know what? Is that 2 months ago, you wouldn't have been saying this. What group has he failed us at? Justin Houston, you got it at the end. I don't know if it's going to work. If anything, it's like this is, I think maybe our expectations of this season are to win nowish.
They all look good at the time until we see them happen. So yeah, I'm hoping that Von Bell is incredible this year. I'm hoping that all the players that you mentioned are incredible. But we were very complimentary of the C.J. Henderson trade when it happened, because of where he was drafted, because it was
because
it has not worked out.
J.C. Horn got hurt. That was a desperation move that didn't cost anything. Dude, we just cut a 4th round pick. So you're trying to tell me trading a 3rd round pick for a guy who's played 3 seasons for you is not like you didn't get your money's worth?
I mean,
just because C.J. Henderson has not lived up to the expectations that you draft nerds set at the beginning doesn't mean that that's a bad trade.
No, he also
Dan Arnold. What the fuck has he done? He got cut from the Jaguars.
C.J. Henderson has failed to live up to basic expectations.
Man, well then you know what? Your head coach don't know what he's talking about, because he said he's looked great this preseason.
Yeah, so far this preseason, I'm talking about the time.
I think we're too hard on CJ. I think we're way too hard on CJ. I think this is first season. I think his first season they just threw him in there into a fucking desperate group of people, and said good luck to you. I think that again that you come with the stigma of where you were drafted at. And I think this is like, it turns out that CJ Henderson was just overdrafted. That's it. He's just overdrafted. If he was a 3rd round pick and he's playing like this, you wouldn't fucking be like that. But we didn't pay a 3rd round. We didn't pay a first for him. We paid a 3rd. We just gave a 3rd. Think of him as a 3rd round draft pick for us.
It doesn't matter because it's
we
a
didn't
starter.
give a 3rd for him.
If you're out there getting your ass whipped,
we gave Dan Arnold in a 3rd.
Like shit.
That's more than a 3rd.
Playing well. He has not
Dan Arnold's
well.
been cut, bro. Dan Arnold ain't even on a team.
Sure, but my point being,
we could go get Dan Arnold right now for $1 and a bag of chips.
Here's the thing: if CJ Henderson plays the way that he plays right now, right? He's a starter on this team, and he plays the way he has this year or the past 2 years. He's not good enough to be on a roster.
He's not a starter on this team right now, is he? No, he's a backup.
Yes.
It's Dante and it's corner 1 is JC Horn. Corner 2 is Dante.
Yeah.
And then you don't start 3 corners in the game. We're going to play 2 safeties, Von Bell. We're going to play Xavier Woods. We're going to have Jeremy Chin starting. We're going to have, think of the 11 on defense. All right, so let's go. We'll start. We'll go Derek Brown, Tuttle, and who's the 3rd big boy? No, you're going to put on the Burns is going to be standing up, right? So you're going to have Derek Brown and Tuttle potentially, right? Brian Burns and Justin Houston. That's 4. Then you say this, you could say, who's 5? We'll do Frankie Louvu. We'll do Shaq Thompson, right? That's 6. We've got 5 more players to go. Jeremy Chin, Xavier Woods, Von Bell, JC Horn, and Dante Jackson.
So
DJ Henderson's a backup.
If you all right, then that goes even worse against Fitterer.
Why?
If
Why?
CJ
You needed a corner
backup,
then? You needed a corner at that. We didn't have JC Horn went down, dude.
No, you're not trading for a player that's just a temporary fix.
We were 3-0 at that point. No, we thought we were 3-0 at that point. JC Horn got hurt, and they thought that this is that if we don't address this position group, we could squander this moment. Do you not remember that? We started 3-0 with Sam Darnold. JC Horn breaks his foot, and we go,
they thought they had another shutdown corner on the opposite side of JC Horn.
No, it was a desperation side.
That's what he was drafted by the Jaguars to do. He has
but we didn't draft him to do that, homie.
All right,
he was a 1st-round pick.
But we didn't draft him.
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
For a 1st-round pick.
All right.
But if we traded for Trey Lance right now, would you go, oh, fuck it, a 1st-round pick? Zach Wilson, oh, he's a 1st-round pick. No, the people that drafted him got a 1st-round pick. Did the Cowboys trade for a 1st-round pick?
No, but he's also not expected to be this. Like, he came in. Here's the thing. CJ Henderson came in and he did not play well. Like, that's the bottom line. He did not.
He came in on week 4. He came from Urban Meyer to the Panthers in the middle of the season.
Do you believe
he went from Urban Meyer? He went from Urban Meyer to Matt Rule.
Tony, did you believe CJ Henderson has played well at cornerback in the past 2 years? Because he's had 2 years on this team.
No, but you know what? Nobody's played well on this team in the last 2 years. So tell me who has played well on this team. No, it's not. Tell me who has played well on this team.
CJ, CJ Henderson has been a liability.
Brian Burns, Derek Brown, DJ.
First of all, people were all shitting on Derek Brown until last year. Let's not hear that. No, we have been a shitty team for these. So no, you can't be like that. I mean, what I'm saying is this: do I think CJ Henderson is ideal? No, but as a back, you can't say, "Oh, you think that's a bad,
Tony,
it's a stain." No, let's go back to where we're really going back to. Is CJ Henderson a significant stain on Scott Fitterer's record? That's what you said. I don't think he's a significant stain on Scott Fitterer's resume.
Okay, what about
for him to be a backup, Tony? If you're saying that he's a backup, then yes, that is a failed trade. Every day of the week.
Well, he was a starter for 2 years.
Here we go. We'll throw this one out here. I think this might be the one that pushes us over the edge. Scott Fitterer signed Cam Irving.
Yeah, and Michael Jordan signed him twice. 2 different times. We have to start putting some of the blame on Fitterer. And Tony, I have been.
Well,
a
see that I
defender
think
of
you can
Fitterer.
lead with that. I think you should lead with that. I don't think you should lead with C.J.
No,
Henderson.
but look at
I
all
think
the moves.
Denzel Perryman. My question, but how about this? Was Denzel Perryman getting out of here and then go and have a Pro Bowl year? Was that Matt Rule, or was that Scott
don't know.
Fitterer? That's I
No,
mean,
I
it,
blame
really,
that on everyone because
it
he was
feels
great all
like
training
Matt
camp.
Rule was an egomaniac and personal.
Well, the thing is that there's one person that could have stopped that, and that was David Tepper.
Look, as Rock Jones says this, Tony, if you're on the Henderson train, you better buy travel insurance. This is where I think where we have to go back to the origin of this conversation, though, and we're trying to figure out what the positives and negatives of Scott Fitterer has been as a GM, and we're trying to extricate that from the villain of Matt Rule. And all I'm saying is this: is that if your first thing that you go to is Scott Fitterer has been is a stain on his resume is CJ Henderson, I think that's just like you just taking a shot at a guy who's visually had some bad plays. I don't think we overpaid for him. He was in a bad situation. Like, I really think this is that you gave away a tight end that you didn't really care about. You gave away a pick that you're going to cut. We just cut our 4th round pick. Did we really lose much with that? If that's his worst move, CJ Henderson?
No.
Okay.
That's just one of
one's
many.
saying that.
You're
One
asking-
of many. Next was Michael Jordan, Cam Irvin.
The other was
Next.
Sam Darnold and picking up his 5th-year option without seeing him play a snap on this offense. The other would be trading for Baker Mayfield. And then again, we want to look at this the drafting of Matt Corral last year. I know there's plenty of people that want. I don't know what we saw in the preseason is going to keep him on the roster or not. Who knows? But it just seems like he's been chasing his tail when it comes to the quarterback. He's been chasing his tail when it comes to a lot of other positions in this on this team. And so I think Scott Fitterer, there's some positives, right? There's some negatives, but at the end of the day, Scott Fitterer has some blame, right? And
Let me ask this. Now the bat daddy's in the room. I know I asked this to all 3 of you. Is Fitterer's job on the line this year?
Yes.
I would honestly say no.
Yeah,
for just simply for the fact that we drafted Bryce Young. Now, here's the thing: if Bryce Young ends up being the guy for the next 12 years, and Scott Fitterer is the guy that not only drafted him but made the moves to move up to draft him,
could do no wrong.
He's untouchable. I don't give a shit what you
like
did.
Marty Herney drafted 1st round picks.
Come on,
you know how many
hold on.
times that saved Marty Herney?
No. He drafted Cam Newton and got fired very quickly after that.
He could have, but he also drafted for 8 years earlier than that too.
Well, we're already 3 years into a Fitterer run, and he still hasn't made a successful team at this point in time.
Yeah.
But you keep fucking sucking off his 1st round picks and J.C. Horn and Derek Brown and then now
we did
Bryce
the same
Young.
thing about Marty Herney and sucked off.
You know what? You guys only talk shit about Marty Herney.
Yeah, because it sucked. He never picked up anyone else.
I'm with Greg. I think he gets one more year. I think that the Frank Reich is Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah.
I think Scott Fitterer is Mr. Nice Guy, and these guys are, we can work together and figure this out. And I think that lack of ego probably makes that room comfortable for all those dudes.
We did trade for Mayfield, by the way, Villain Trucker.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're the guy who drafted Peyton Manning, if you're the guy who drafted Tom Brady, if you're the guy who drafted, Drew Brees, any of these guys, that's a huge mark on your resume. No matter what you've done, it's 100 times whatever you've done bad.
And
everybody
you're really going to hold Baker against this dude? You're going to hold Baker against this dude? When Matt Rule comes in, cuts Cam, signs Teddy Bridgewater to a $60 million 3-year deal, cuts him the following year. Fitterer comes in the day before the draft. They come and do that. And then Matt Rule knew he was fighting for his job. He was doing everything to get a quarterback, from Deshaun Watson to Matt Stafford to all of this. You think that Scott Fitterer was like, let's go to the fucking mattresses over Baker Mayfield? No, he's fucking sitting there going, Matt Rule says I can't succeed without a quarterback. And they went and chased
right? It's like, come on, why are you signing?
Well, when you make 7 times as much as the dude, Matt Rule was making $64 million, dude. You think that like who has the bigger dick in that room financially?
David
Not
Tepper.
was making.
Well, true.
Made. They get paid
Yeah,
even if
you're
they
right.
get
You're
fired.
right.
So
I just feel like
$64 million. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of these guys look like rule people.
Sure. I mean, we saw it with how many Temple players there were, and I mean, there was definitely nephewtism.
I mean, frankly, Louva was from
but,
Temple.
But Tony, but I think where the disconnect is you're saying that because they're rule people, that extends the grace period that we're to give Fitterer, even though he has his names on all of those players that we're mentioning.
You know,
I feel like I can say that since I said we should have fired him last year.
This is
I call for all these motherfuckers to be fired.
This is my opinion. I think Fitterer, if we do not have a good year this year, I think Fitterer is probably out the door. And you know what?
I think he gets one more year.
And you know what? I think the general manager is probably already there, and his name is Dan Morgan. And I've been calling that name forever.
I don't know. I think that's nostalgia.
I think so.
I've
too,
decided that's nostalgia. I wanted it, but did you hear him talk? It wasn't like he was like, "Oh,
yeah, I agree
all
with you,
he has ever done is move up and up and up, and now to the point where they're having press conferences where Dan Morgan is at the table.
Or maybe he's just trailing. Maybe he's just trailing Scott Fitterer because he was in Seattle and now he's in Carolina.
No, he's just riding. Leader, man. He's played linebacker in the NFL. By the way, white chocolate.
Oh, don't worry. We know.
White chocolate. Shut the fuck up. White chocolate with the 199 says Bryce, Mingo, and Zavala, all rookies that are starting. I mean, yeah, you drafted them high enough, and they should. So that's one thing. Listen, there are a list of good things and bad things that you can say about Fitterer. The only thing I'm saying is that this leeway grace period where everything that was ever done was Matt Rule, and now Fitterer can have none of the blame because he's made a few moves that we really agreed with. It's like, nah, that's like an unfair assessment. At this point.
I don't think he's blameless. I just think that you are too ready to just say to throw the baby out with the bathwater at this point.
Yeah,
I think
I'm not throwing out the baby with the bathwater.
Navigating the shittiest situation in the world is commendable.
Yeah, and he's not blameless by any means. But I remember specifically when Matt Rule was in here and everybody was all gung-ho for Matt Rule. It was all about Matt Rule had the final say on everything.
Everything. It was in his contract, dude.
Everything. So now that Matt Rule's gone and we're seeing some things, we can't be like, well, maybe he didn't have the final say on all.
This motherfucker went and got you Bryce Young, homie.
But
he got you the truth.
Here's the difference, right?
We were picking 9.
That's where I'm saying he's got this year to see what this team does. If it makes progress, then he's still here. But if we don't make progress, then you've got to put that on Fitterer.
We've made progress. We got a fucking quarterback.
No,
we don't know what we don't know what progress we made.
That's right.
See what this
I'm ready.
Greg,
I agree. Saying we're going to win 11 games, Cody. 2 weeks ago, you were saying we're going to win 11 games.
Right, but we're also saying we want to see how the year plays out before we're promising that he's going to be able to actually keep his job. So my point being, Greg, you had said that he didn't have say. It was Matt Rule. He accepted the job knowing that.
But you have to. You can't say no. You can't say no to these opportunities. No, they don't come. You know what? Joe Brady. Do you guys remember when we were talking about should Joe Brady go take the job or whatever? And you're like, oh, but maybe he could wait a year. No, like you just take the job. You be like, oh, you could get better circumstances. Fuck that. The timing and all of that. You just take it. You hope it works, and if it doesn't, you cash your fucking check and you fail upwards.
Well, can I ask how come? Like, well, let me ask this first. Like,
tonight.
I would say that players and coaches have more to do with the immediate results of winning and losing games than GMs do. Would you not agree?
There's a winning the battle and winning the war.
Winning the battle.
Right, they win the battle, but the
winning
GMs
the war is
win
winning
the
battles.
war.
Well, here's my question though: why do coaches and players get a grace period because it's a new coaching staff or you're a rookie, but whenever a GM has a rookie or a new coaching staff, they don't get said grace period?
we do give him. He's got 3 years of a grace period already.
But he's got a brand new coaching staff, entire coaching staff, and a rookie quarterback. So wouldn't that be a new grace period?
I think you guys just want to find somebody to be mad at.
No. The difference is you're asking us to discard the first 3 years of Fitterer and everything that he did because Matt Rule was here. Yeah, that is what you're doing.
I mean, got Bryce Young. I think he navigated those things pretty well.
We're looking at the glass half empty.
We had a 7-win season last year.
Glass half full.
We had a 7-win season and fired our coach mid-year, and you're trying to tell us, how about this? Oh, here, all right, if we're just dismissing him, all we have said on this podcast is that this isn't the worst team in the league. We got the first round pick, but we're not the worst team in the league.
Yeah, we never said
when I told you this, when I told you guys this, we didn't have a true top elite player on this team. You fucking chastised me about everything, about the Brian Burns and all of this. No, you're trying to now say that this squad isn't built well.
No,
that is not what I'm trying. That is literally
Cody,
not what me or CK are saying.
Well, then, what has he done wrong then?
We haven't. We said that he hasn't got a track record of success, and this is his year to prove it. And if he doesn't prove it this year,
there are bad moves that you can attribute to him.
Okay,
Baker Mayfield has his name on it. Sam Darnold has his name on it. Letting go of Hassan Reddick has his name on it. Letting go of Stephon Gilmore has his name on it. Like it goes on and on. Like we're not about to discount all those things just because Matt Rule was here the whole time. I'm not saying that he's done a terrible job, but to say that his job is not on the line this year, that's naive in my opinion.
Here is where your argument collapses on itself right here. Collapse on itself. If Bryce Young wins 6 games, you guys say that's a good year. Is that a good year for Fitterer to win 6 games? Bam.
Oh,
go.
wow.
Go.
Well,
everybody's fired, Greg.
You can't have
both. 6 games,
you can't
everybody's
have a great GM,
fired.
a terrible GM, and a fantastic quarterback the GM drafted. So what happens? If we win 6 games and Bryce Young looks great, what does it say for Fitterer?
Well, listen, it's a great that you said that because Jay Thomas donated $4.99 and says, where do you guys set the bar on an acceptable season? 500?
7 games.
That's
my number. I can make an argument where I can come on this podcast after a 7-win season and say there's a future for this team. Under 7, I'm getting nervous.
I'm with Greg on this one. I want 8 or 9.
Yeah.
No, I mean 8 or 9. I think we walk out of here and say that's a great year. If we go 500, if we go 9, if we go 500, dude, we haven't gone 500 in 5 years.
I need more wins than last season. For what we gave up, I need more wins, not just one more win. I need more wins than wins.
No, I mean, so I'm okay with that, but that's where I think 7 we could make an argument for hey, we don't need to blow up the whole team. You know what I'm saying? I think if we win 5 games this year, I'm questioning Frank Reich. I'm questioning the Scott Fitterer. I'm questioning and some of it's how you win 5 games. So if Bryce Young is out there playing hero ball and our defense is giving up 35 points a game, then I'm not going to be like everybody is going to be under the line of fire. But for me, I feel like if we get to 7, it's not ideal. I'm not saying it's ideal. I'm just saying I could make an argument that we can incrementally improve after that. Right. I think if we get to 8, it's easier to make that. 9, we're heading in the right direction. 10, we're out of the fucking world.
Right.
But I think under 7, I'm nervous everywhere. I'm fucking shaking in my boots.
But my question here is, if Bryce Young wins 6 games and he looks phenomenal in all 6 wins and even half the losses, we still only won 6 games.
Well, that's fine. Then we got our quarterback
still on the hot seat for y'all.
Yes. Then
if we win 6 and Bryce Young looks great.
Yes.
Okay.
Then he's on the hot seat.
Drafting the truth.
Even with that, here's the thing.
Actually, you might be right, Greg. You might be right.
No, he's not, because here's the. It's not. It's very. I think it's pretty basic. If Bryce Young looks great, then we failed everywhere else. You can't.
Well, you know what? We'll say this. No, you know what? We'll walk out of here and we'll say this. We've got a Brinks truck
yards with garbage receivers. Sorry,
we'll walk. we would win
possible.
6 games with only that. That
Right.
doesn't.
No, he's
Right.
saying Bryce looks very good in the wins and even looks good in the losses, but we only get 6 wins. So
Right.
you walk out of the season disappointed about the win total. You walk out of the season though very optimistic about Bryce Young, much like you were with Cam Newton.
That's what Anthony said too with the $5. He said the acceptable season is Bryce Young improves week to week. He also says Fitterer can suck his nutsack.
Okay,
but I also think that that's understandable. But I'm on Greg's team on this one. Like, no, up 7
You're
wins.
just flip-flopping.
No, I have never said that the same amount of wins, that's acceptable. I've never said that. They better
with a rookie quarterback, a complete retool on the defense.
No, yeah,
serious?
7 games is not. Yeah, serious. 7 games. Yeah, that's we did that last season. I need more.
Yeah, first of all, it was like a miraculous. Maybe you should give Scott Fitterer some of that credit for building a roster that can actually win 7 games despite having fucking Matt Rule as their coach.
Okay, but I mean, still, again, no one's. You're taking my argument out of context. We're not saying that Fitterer is trash and that he hasn't done good things. We're just saying that he has a resume of a lot of good and a lot of bad as well, and that you can't discard one for the other anymore. And after this year, like, let's say they do win 7, like, yeah, at that point you have to at least be wondering whether or not you have the guy that is drafting the right players if none of your draft picks are working out.
Let's take some calls. The number's 252-228-5098. We need you guys to get in on this conversation. How much of where are the fingerprints? Who's the number one suspect in these problems that the Carolina Panthers face? The optimism we have going forward. Do you believe in Scott Fitterer? Are you like the hire of Frank Reich? Does that lend to him going up and getting Bryce Young? Or is CJ Henderson, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold's 5th-year option, are those enough? Is that enough evidence to place some of the blame or a significant noteworthy blame on Scott Fitterer? The number's 252-228-5098. We'd love to hear what you thought about the cuts. Who's next? Are we done, or is this our team? Cody, let's go into the calls.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Bro, I don't wanna go and give up all these draft picks to get a quarterback that when we already have a more physically capable quarterback on the roster with the stronger arm.
Here we go.
Talking about.
Just listen. Just pay attention.
Okay.
He's taller. He ran for like 10 touchdowns in college, so he's mobile. Nah. Matt Crow's about to get his bum ass cut. And,
this was from our post game.
And Bryce, who is the GOAT, Tony, all right? And I'll just keep him the GOAT and him the GOAT only from now on when we speak on that.
Yeah, you do give everybody the GOAT tag. That was a call from our late show on Friday, I think, or Friday night. Maybe, to be honest, we talked about some of the surprises on the roster. Or some of the surprise cuts. I thought Matt Corral making the roster was a surprise. And that makes me ask is, as we saw kickers on the move around the league, some people were saying, are we going to deal that guy that was helping us kick? Yep. Right? You see Lutz go from the Saints to join Sean Payton in Denver. You see, I think Nick Folk went from the Patriots to Tennessee Titans. The Browns had to get a new kicker because their kicker hasn't made a kick in a year, and he was posting Instagram photos of himself at halftime. The Carolina Panthers are sitting there, and we're walking into – think about this. We're walking into this season with 7 wide receivers, 5 tight ends, and 3 quarterbacks on a 53-man roster. The Patriots let go of what's his name? Zappy Bailey? Bailey Zappi, whatever the fuck.
Yeah,
one of those.
Bailey Zappi. Everybody thought he was about to replace Mac Jones.
Remember, he had 5 touchdowns last year in a game or some shit while Mac Jones was hurt or whatever. The Patriots only have one quarterback on their roster, and that's Mac Jones. I was thinking about this: is why keep Matt Corral? You didn't really get any trade value for him. I mean, you couldn't get any trade value. Are the Carolina Panthers just going to meander through the first 3 weeks and wait for a quarterback to get hurt on a team that they believe has a shot or something? And is Andy Dalton the guy we ship out?
I mean, that's an interesting. I want to hear your thought, because I don't think that there's a shot that he's off of this team. I think he's going to be here to mentor Bryce Young the entirety of this. How
season. Many mentors do you need? You got Frank Reich. You got McCown. You know, is that and we knew that Andy Dalton thought he had a little gas in the tank still, right? We saw that from the Blueprint episodes where they convinced him to come here because ultimately I think it was because of the coaching staff and the McCown. And I think Andy Dalton probably is working his way towards being a quarterback's coach or something in the future. But do the Carolina Panthers, I mean, like, do they hold to that agreement? Is it wild to think that, look, is that Bryce Young, they think we look at him, we say he's far more advanced than we were even anybody in many ways expected. There's no way that Bryce Young is going to cede the job unless you just need a guy to come in there for 1 or 2 games. That's all Andy Dalton is going to help you with. If Bryce Young goes down to injury, it's tank, baby. It's tank. And about next year with all that salary cap and getting a pick potentially, which we don't have a first round, is the trade. Look, all I'm saying is this: Matt Corral has no trade value, and he's on our team.
Yeah, I agree, but I kind of disagree with the Andy Dalton thing. I think Andy Dalton's going to be there, and I don't think that if Bryce Young goes down, it's tank. What if Bryce Young goes through the first 6 games and he wins 4, and we're 4-2, right? Then he goes down. Then your backup is Andy Dalton, who, look at the rest of the league. Andy Dalton, Derek Carr, who's in Atlanta,
Desmond Ritter.
Such a short term,
and then Baker Mayfield.
We're not going to do shit.
But I'm just saying, I think with Andy Dalton, if you have a few wins under your belt, you're not looking at tank. I think you could still win the division with Andy Dalton. I don't know if you could with Matt Corral. But I think Andy Dalton is a solid backup.
Yeah, as someone who has been a staunch Matt Corral supporter, I don't think there's any way in hell that they're trading Andy Dalton right now.
Why did we keep Corral then, I guess, is my question.
Well, but so Frank Reich did a press conference today, and they talked about it, and he really wouldn't comment on the long-term future of Matt Corral. Now, Matt Corral was asked some questions, and he seemed to be in great spirits. Happy about being on the team, about continuing to learn. He seemed happy about his place on the team. But one of the things that he said right now is all 32 NFL teams are wondering what to do with the third quarterback on their roster and how many they do and don't want to carry relative to other positions.
Could be San Francisco.
Yeah, so they're having this.
Them.
No, you said shut up. That's a legit thing, Tony. Quarterbacks, we played fucking 4 of them last year. What are you saying?
Right. Oh, yeah, we're gonna believe we have a playoff team. We're gonna believe that we're competing for the NFC conference championship, and the only thing that kept us out was the fact that Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, all these guys were hurt. No, we don't really think. Look, we're sitting here going 7, 8, 9 wins, dude. That's for a team like the fucking 49ers. That's not for us.
It doesn't matter. You would have a situation where you know that you've had a bunch of quarterbacks start for you last year. You hired or you drafted an undersized, theoretically, right? The undersized quarterback. I don't see them pitching off Dalton. They're never going to tank like that. Oh, Bryce is done.
It's not a tank. It's not a tank. It's Bryce Young or bust, I think, is what my point is.
How crazy is it that they have more quarterbacks now on the roster to be able to prevent stuff like San Fran last year from one time happening, but the game is more catered to protect the quarterback than it ever has been?
I think
we now have 3
I think it's reactionary. I think that I think this is that you should carry 2 quarterbacks you should carry two you believe in. And if you get hurt, if your number one gets hurt and it becomes significant, then you start thinking about adding a guy to become the third, maybe a vet, maybe something. I don't think you go in and you say, well, here, let's prepare for fucking doomsday. We're preppers now. We're preppers, and our quarterbacks are the fucking Campbell's soup.
Yeah, but you're also you're not going to get rid of your preparations though if you're a prepper. And I wanted to make sure I didn't miss this. Stats with the $2 says, do we now have 6 tight ends? Like I said earlier,
I think we have 5.
We have 5, and I think that's going to be the position that if we end up making more moves, one of those tight ends is going to be the bottom of the barrel on that one.
All right, let's go to the next call.
Hey, this is Panther Pickle. Listen, I want to shout out to all the Panther fans out there who are upset because the guy that they wanted didn't make the cut. Well, don't fear. You don't know what tomorrow brings. This is Tuesday. You don't know what Wednesday brings. Now, understand some of them guys will likely be available when we build a practice squad. You'll know how much the coach likes them or dislikes them if they make the practice squad. I know. I like Cody Jones. I wanted him. I thought he would make a good outside linebacker. He didn't make the cut. But, such is life.
I think you meant Dion.
But also, some of these draft
No, there's
picks
Kobe Jones.
the last few years that didn't make the cut, guess what? They shouldn't have been drafted where they were drafted because they never had they should have never been drafted. I don't want to say talent. I started to, but they have talent. But do they have the talent to start right away? Apparently not. But along with talent, you got to have brains. You got to have a desire and a heart. If you ain't got all three to go together, you're just a flunky on the field. That's right. You're just a flunky on the field. Keep pounding, and if you still don't like it, shut the hell up and get over it. Thank you very much. You have a great day.
Oh man, that was one of my favorite Pickle calls right
Yeah,
there.
that was awesome.
Great job, Pickle. The number's 252-228-5098. Let's go to Anthony in Charlotte.
What's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte. Just walking around campus right now after class and checking Twitter all day, and man, I'm very disappointed. Okay, I'm very disappointed. Listen, I have recently been questioning this coaching staff, and especially Scott Fitterer, for the moves they've been making. I've been saying, no matter how good Bryce Young is this season, he is not going to be able to carry this team. It is not ready to compete. First off, Scott Fitterer decides to cut all the fucking depth pieces that we brought in this offseason, besides for like 2 of them. And then all he does is he trades for a practice squad type of guy from the Chiefs. Like, dude, he's not making moves that are equivalent to winning this year. He says he wants to win, but the truth is we have 0 depth. We have by far the worst depth in the league. It has to be top 5 worst. I don't know what else to say about it. I am pissed right now. Like, I get people are saying it's not Scott's fault. Matt had the final say. Okay, for example, you draft Brandon Smith, who hasn't even gotten a chance to see the field in the regular season. He was a 4th-round pick, and you're already parting ways with him? Does that mean that Scott Fitterer in that draft room last year was not even confident on the own pick that he had to have signed off on, that he had to do a little research on the guy if you're going to draft him? That's a 4th-round pick. That's not even a 6th or 7th rounder. This goes back to my whole thing about how we can't draft and develop players in the later rounds. I'm starting to get real worried, man. It's like, dude, if you want Bryce Young to succeed here over time, you need to do what the exact opposite of what this franchise did for Cam. You need to build around him. It's a new aged era. It's just crazy to me, man. I'm pissed off. Like, we have 0 depth at all. Like, our starting nose tackle is some random dude that literally came from one of the guys that tried out for the team. Like, I get people think this coaching staff is really smart, and I want to believe it is. But these moves are not moving the needle for me at all. And if people want us to compete in the offseason, not the offseason, if people want us to compete, then it's like, dude, you need to keep these depth pieces around. We have no depth anywhere. And the only solid O-linemen like Justin McCray and those guys, how did they get cut over Cam fucking Irving? It makes no sense. I'm calling right back in.
Yeah, Cam Irving did go on to get cut after that. But listen, I've just laid out some of the reasons why we should be, criticizing Fitterer. I'm not quite to the level of Anthony where it's like, everything that he's done is a fireable offense. I don't know how else we were supposed to upgrade the wide receiver core. I mean, you bring in Miles Sanders as a running back, had almost 1,300 rushing yards. And then you brought in the best wide receivers that you could possibly bring in, right? That it was possible for the Panthers to acquire. Where I do think you're able to cast legitimate criticism on him now is the viability of his draft picks and the free agent signings. There's been a lot of short-term guys and a lot of guys that are flat out not on the team anymore. And if you're not able to draft well, then, I mean, you're kind of dead on arrival.
All right. Look, Anthony's got more to say. He's upset about Deion Jones.
Hey, guys. It's Anthony from Charlotte. It's me again. Man, I'm just, like I said in my last call, I'm frustrated and confused. Like, I don't even know, man. It makes no sense. Did Deion Jones get cut because he wasn't good enough? Like Eric Rowe, all these guys that we brought in, which we thought could be solid depth pieces. Like, this is the problem with our team. We are so front heavy, like top heavy. We are so top heavy on this team. If like 3 or 4 players get injured on the defensive side of the ball, that defense goes from around like 15 to 16 to like 26 or 27. Like, we are relying so heavily on these guys because we don't know how to draft for shit. And if this season Bryce Young puts up great stats and can't win games because the defense sucks or the offensive line's holding up or the shitty excuse for receivers that Scott Fitterer put around this dude, I want his ass fired. There's no excuses for this anymore. You can't pull the Matt Rule card because Matt Rule had the final say on the roster, and guess what? He's drafted the only great players on this team so far. Besides for Brian Burns, he drafted Jeremy Chin. He drafted Derek Brown. He drafted J.C. Horn. He drafted Akim Ekwonu. Yes, Scott Fitterer drafted Bryce Young. Well, boo fucking who? That was the most obvious pick. Of course, at some point, we're like, oh, we need a quarterback. We're not going to run it back with Sam Darnold. Like, no shit, we had to trade up to get Bryce Young. If that's the only thing that's going to keep his career together, then you better hope he gets help around this dude because it cannot be Cam Newton 2.0. We need to support our quarterback. If I don't know why these guys can't learn from what they've seen in the past of this organization. We can't ask Cam Newton to play hero ball every week. It doesn't work like that. Like, for example, the Chiefs have the best quarterback of all time, and they literally put help around him every year. They redraft offensive linemen. They find receivers that are literally gems, diamonds in the rough. Justin Ross made the 53-man roster. Don't be surprised when he puts up like 800 yards this season in his rookie year. It's like,
a guy who's been hurt for 2 years. You mean like Terrace Marshall Jr.?
Watch him tear up the league.
Okay, well, we're waiting for Terrace Marshall Jr. to tear up the fucking league.
Cornerbacks,
Mr. Matt Rule had the final say.
It's the worst in the league. Our D tackles, if Shai Tuttle or Derek Brown get hurt, it's the worst in the league. If Brian Burns gets hurt, 34, Justin Houston isn't going to be able to carry the pass rush by himself. It's like, man, and this offensive line has not looked good, and he was cutting the only solid pieces that we signed.
Who?
That's all I got to say, man. Give me your thoughts on
Deion
Scott
Jones?
Fitterer and what I just told y'all. I know I came in heated, but I had to get that off my chest. Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding, boys.
I disagree with this. First, we've only got 2 drafts that we can implicate Scott Fitterer in. This one and last year's. He can't be implicated in the previous year because he came in like the day of the draft or right after, right? So it wasn't, he was just there in the room. So you can't he wasn't part of that Jeremy Chin draft at all. I think if anything, Ekwonu might have been, maybe we should give some credit to Fitterer because there were 3 choices there, or maybe we don't. Maybe we could have gone Charles Cross. Maybe we could have gone the other dude, the guy that went from Alabama to the Giants or whatever.
But But that is a good point, though, Tony, that he does make, right? If we want to say that Matt Rule was in control of most of those, everything that happened at that period in time, well, then, yeah, you could theoretically give the credit for Derek Brown, J.C. Horn, and Kim Ekwonu.
But that's one guy, but there won't no other hits, though, Cody. So, like, if you're going to give the credit to Matt Rule for those hits, you also have to discredit him for the other 5 picks that didn't make it, because he's really the only thing the Panthers, think about this, going back, tell me a guy outside of Jeremy Chin and Derek Brown that has been drafted, that has been all of a sudden welcomed into this team as a significant piece. I don't know if I can think of one.
What, a player that has walked on to the
that we drafted, other than Derek Brown, other than Jeremy Chin, that we drafted. I mean, all right, if you're gonna go icky, and then we're kind of talking shit. All right, so those 3 players, tell me somebody that we've drafted. So if you're gonna say, oh well, the credit goes to Matt Rule for those 3 draft picks, then you should also say the discredit or the bad part of the other 5 draft picks and all those other drafts go to Matt Rule too.
Oh, but then not Fitterer, right?
No, but you're giving he was giving Matt Rule credit for Derek Brown. He was giving him credit for Jeremy Chin. He wasn't giving he wasn't giving Fitterer credit.
Right,
so if you're going to give credit, but you're not going to give any credit to Scott Fitterer for Derek Brown, you're not going to, or JC Horn. Actually, it was JC Horn.
We also do the same thing with Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. Oh, that was all Matt Rule.
Yeah,
and it was
I think that was, dude.
All right, so then you
desperation. That was desperation. They thought they were a quarterback away. Matt Rule said it in every press conference, dude. We thought we were a quarterback away. That's why they chased Deshaun Watson. That's why they chased Matt Stafford. By the way, Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield were never their first date, the person they asked on the date. Ever. They were trying to they first went after Stafford, then they tried to go after Watson 2 years in a row.
Yeah. I'm just saying, dude, the glass is either half full or it's half empty. But it can go back and forth on this.
I think it's just hard to even assess him positively or negatively out because of Matt Rule. That's, I guess, where my point is like I'm at the so undecided point. I feel like I have to give him the benefit of the doubt for working out some real magic despite the circumstances.
Well, apparently a lot of fans feel the same way you do. I put up a poll in the chat. Is Scott Fitterer's job on the line this year? And with 50 votes, it's 80% who say no, one more year for him, versus 20% who say absolutely. So we'll see, man.
Let's go to the next call.
What's up, guys? This is Smooth C from the Electric City.
What up?
What the roster looks like now is probably not what the roster is going to look like. Maybe tomorrow. Well, definitely by next week when the season starts. So there's probably going to be some changes.
That's a good point that we have to.
Players picked up here and there. Cam Irvin, gone. Michael Jordan, gone. Boy,
yeah. Hallelujah. I know. Thank you for that call. Good call. Let's go to the next one.
Yo, it's White Chocolate Espresso. Cut day, it's cut day. And a lot of you fans are freaking the fuck out. Like, come on, man. Calm down. Smoke some weed. Pop a Xanax bar. Just chill out. Or
as long as it's prescribed.
I don't care. Listen. Anyway. So
by your friend, the neighborhood dealer.
Scott Fitterer shit for like his late round picks or whatever, and that he's on the hot seat. He's on the hot seat. Listen, Scott right now has 3 rookies about to start week 1. Bryce Young, Mingo, and the guard. I can't say his fucking name.
Zavala.
NC State.
Zavala.
That's 3 rookies starting.
You're talking to him like it's gonna change.
And DJ Johnson will have a
talking to the
role in week
audience.
1. Like he's not probably going to start, but he's going to be in and out of the lineup. That's 4 of our rookies. I think we only had like 5 picks. So I mean that's pretty fucking good. And we were all expecting Mingo to be great. We expect the guard to be great. We expect Bryce to be great. So I don't know. Anyway, guys, we need a target. I think we need to go after Kareem Hunt. I don't think we're going to get him, but no, fuck it, try. One guy who got cut. He's a rookie, drafted by the Colts in the 5th round. Darius Rush, cornerback. He got it pick 6. I don't know why the Colts cut him, but fuck it, let's get him. And I think we need to get an actual backup tight end, even though we have 5 right now. The quarterback out of New England.
How do we not have a backup tight end? We have a million.
We only have backup tight ends. That's the problem. We've got 5 backup tight ends.
We have too many backup tight ends.
We got 4 backup tight ends.
Make one of them be a fullback.
Well, Ricci, look, I think Ricci is the most dynamic out of the group. Like, so when they say Ian Thomas is a good blocker, I feel like hasn't Ricci been around for a couple of years, like kind of just hanging out and one of those guys that's always around the practice squad. He's not brand new.
Seems like it, yeah.
You know, kind of reminding you to the degree of who's the guy you pulled out, Cody, on the Friday show that went to blocking tight end that went to Jacksonville.
Dan Arnold?
No, the other one, the one that was just the blocker. Dan Arnold was the
Manhurst.
Yeah. So
Chris
I mean, I feel
Manhurst.
like he hung around for a while. I think Ricci's hung around. Maybe I'm wrong. I just feel like this isn't the first time I've heard Ricci's name. So I think he can do both. Who knows? I think one other thing about that was the 4-star. Oh, this is what I was going to bring up. You remember when we kind of were a little perplexed that we took a wide receiver in the 2nd round?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, without Mingo, we would be fucked right now.
Well, I think our situation would be different if he wasn't available. I think
we would have done some other things.
Yeah, we would probably done some other things. I think DeAndre Hopkins might have been a bigger priority. Maybe we would have thrown money at him that he couldn't refuse. I think there was a lot of potential outcomes had things not worked out that way. But
that's a great point.
I think Mingo being here is going to be a big deal because I mean, if he and Bryce Young can get that chemistry as rookies, dude, I'm hopeful. I still have hope for TMJ, but I think we've all kind of cooled on him since he got injured in his preseason. Didn't necessarily even look very
meaningful. No,
yeah.
memorable. How about that?
Memorable,
Actually, it wasn't memorable. It was one game and he didn't do anything. He played in the first week of the preseason, and bam, I held out on this. I was trying to ward off fucking Cody's 2 years of how great TMJ is. And I finally said, man, I'm going to get in this and expect now the new coaching regime and all this, and it's going to be better. And, you know, I mean, at some point it's got to pan out. Right now is like, we were really saying we kind of needed him to produce this year. And now we're at the point where we can't even anticipate him producing.
Yeah. Jay Thomas with the $9.99 love bomb. He says, how much cap room do we have? And could we make a run after some big pieces in free agency?
All next year.
So as of right now, the Panthers are still number 6 with the most money in the NFL.
Really, who's out there? We're going to use all of that for Brian Burns.
We have
next year we spend.
We have a little under $19 million in effective cap space right now.
And we got to sign Brian Burns.
We have to sign Brian Burns.
And who's really out there? You know, that's just a straight free agent. I guess maybe if you made a trade, you would have to be ready to take on parts of their contract. But they also get whoever they're traded from gets saddled with all the guaranteed money.
Yeah.
So that's in a good way. We need to go get.
Can I tell you too? You've got to draft. You got to pay Brian Burns, but guess what? You also got to pay Derek Brown, and you got to pay Jeremy Chin, and you got to pay J.C. Horn.
You don't have to.
Yeah. Well, we only got to pay
I'm just saying. And then by the time those are all done being paid, Bryce Young, Jonathan Mingo comes around. Like it never stops. There's always somebody to pay. You know?
True. But right now, I'm not ready to pay J.C. Horn.
I'm not ready to pay Derek Brown.
Hold on, for real? So you're telling me that Derek Brown's contract year is next year?
No, he's got a whole 5th year option. We've got another.
How about this? How about this? Right.
Okay.
And again, people would take criticisms like this and just make it sound like we're.
But then you were just talking shit about C.J. Henderson not getting his 5th year option, and now you're going to be like, "Oh, I won't even pay Derek Brown."
Better, C.J. Henderson or Derek Brown?
No, Derek Henderson. I mean, Derek Brown's better than C.J. Henderson.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, if we're going to pay Derek Brown a top defensive tackle in the NFL contract,
we don't have to do that. We just got to pay him respectably.
No, yeah, you do. No, you're dreaming.
Have to pay him the top.
Yeah, you do. You're dreaming.
He's a block swallower. He's not a disruptor. He's not going to command the top.
He's going to demand the top.
Anytime the next player comes up for the new contract, they always shoot to be the highest.
When they produce.
By the way,
like the highest.
The same argument that a lot of people have with Brian Burns. There are many Panther fans that do not want to pay Brian Burns top 5 in the NFL. Yet one of the things that you see with Burns is that he does have the physical traits, athleticism, and now the production to say that he's gotten better every year.
So is Brown.
And is one of your top sack getters in the league.
So is Brown.
No, Derek Brown has
gotten better from year to year. He's gotten better from year to year, and he's been a monster in the preseason.
He's not looked like Quentin Williams. He's not looked like Dexter Lawrence. He's not looked like Chris Jones.
Brian
Burns like Star Latulele.
Brian Burns hasn't looked like the defensive ends in the same manner. My question is, has Brian Burns performed better across the linebackers in the NFL than Derek Brown has across the defensive tackles?
Yeah, I mean,
that's what you got to ask yourself.
I would say yes, and this is his first year playing outside linebacker.
Well, but this is also Brian Brown. Derek Brown has one less year too. Brian Burns is getting progressively better every year.
That's why. That's what I'm
is,
saying.
Derek Brown is
I need to see Derek Brown this year.
Wow.
Take that next step forward based on what I've seen right now. I do not feel comfortable paying him top 5 defensive tackle in the NFL money. I just don't.
Rock Rhyme says Tony wants to trade our whole draft like Cody wanted to before. Devontae Adams.
So
I mean,
Trevor Lawrence,
Cody,
mind you.
If he performs this year, Cody, are you willing to pay him? If he's top 7 defensive tackle this year, are you willing to pay him?
I mean, it depends on what that looks like. What are the numbers on that?
Top 7.
Like
top 10, and you don't get to just go all defensive tackles. You got to do the run blockers. You don't get to just say Aaron Donald.
Yeah, but
you don't get. This is the same argument between KK and Star Latulele.
No, why are we under the assumption that when Derek Brown comes to be paid, that he's not going to ask for as much money as possible?
I'm not saying that, but I don't think that means that he becomes Dexter Lawrence.
Blocker.
I don't think, you just compared him to guys that are more than run blockers, though. Yeah. You said every name you said was not just a run blocker.
Yeah, he better be more than a run blocker this year.
Well, maybe he will be. I think he will be.
I hope he will be.
On everybody in the team has improved better than everybody else throughout the last year.
I'm being very reasonable. A lot of Panther fans are like, oh, we have all these good players, but no elite players. So what you're essentially saying is we should pay players who are like borderline.
We don't have to pay him for 2
top
years,
money
dude.
in the NFL. Like
we don't have to pay him this year or next year.
Derek Brown.
No, we picked up his
which is next year. Which is next year.
Derek Brown.
We have 2 seasons with him, dude.
Do you think he'll play under the franchise tag?
No, that would be the 6th year. That's not the 5th year option.
We're going into his 4th year right now.
Yeah. Right. And then we get next year on the 5th year option. You could franchise tag him in 6 years.
Do you think that he'll play under a 5th year option or a franchise tag?
Yes. All these motherfuckers play under their 5th year option. You were just talking shit about us not picking up CJ Henderson's 5th year option.
No, I never said that.
No, not that we should have. No, but like you think CJ. No, what you were saying is this: is he hasn't lived up to the billing to get the 5th-year option. Tell me a guy in this league that sat out their 5th-year option. Not a single person.
It depends on what they do.
No, name us one.
It depends on what they do.
Name
man.
one player that sat out his 5th-year option. Name them.
They don't let him get to that point.
Because it doesn't exist, dude.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If
You're just making that up. You just threw some fucking shit against the wall, and we're like, look over here.
The NFL, it's what CK just said. If they're top in the NFL, they're not even letting them get that far before they pay them.
Bro, Cody, you could go. You could walk. You got 2 years with Derek Brown before you even got to talk about that shit.
I'll put it like this. There's one example, and that's going to be DeAndre Hopkins. And I think he was like 3 years in and he was willing to sit out, but they didn't let him. Like, when you're the top, like it does happen.
Josh Jacobs this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cats on their 5th-year option. I haven't heard any of them sitting out right now. I've heard about Jonathan Taylor, who's not even close to his 5th year. I've heard franchise tags guys not want to do that. But you could theoretically just take Derek Brown and go this year, next year, franchise tag him, and then move on after that.
You can franchise tag him 2nd year, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you really wanted to.
But there's no way he's going to play.
Cody, let me ask you, Cody, name one player on the Panthers. I'm sitting here trying to think about this right now that has played more consistently as far as not worse than the year before and has shown more improvement than Derek Brown throughout his career with the Carolina Panthers in the last 3 years. Name one player.
Brian Burns.
No, I don't agree.
No, he's been in the league. This is his 5th year, dude. So you can't say
I disagree.
that.
Brian Burns, his first 3 years, did not show the progression
over the past 3 years.
In their first 3 years. How about that?
He's put up the same amount of sacks every year, except for last year. Went up a little bit.
Yeah. I'm saying Derek Brown is the most improved player since we drafted him on the team. Since we drafted him in the last few years, like hands down.
I don't know.
Look, he doesn't want to do that. Look,
well, name
I still say Burns. No, I still say Burns. I mean,
okay, so you're using the one superstar on the team to say that Derek Brown isn't worth it.
That's the point. I'm not willing to pay superstar money to people that aren't proven.
Defensive tackles don't get superstar money except for 2 of them, Aaron
do.
Donald and the Chris Jones guy.
Yes, they do. Quentin Williams just got paid superstar money. Dexter
He's
Lawrence
a pass rusher, bro. He's not a run block.
Superstar money. And by the way, you say that, Tony, but Williams and Lawrence were drafted to be run blockers first and foremost. They added improved.
Solomon Thomas was drafted around the same time, and guess what? He's not even on the same team he was.
Yeah, that
okay.
Doesn't,
I don't know why Derek Brown's just catching strays from you.
Derek Brown's a hit, man. Like he is for real. He was a great draft pick. He's showing why he was a good draft pick.
So are you?
We can't afford to lose Derek Brown or Brian Burns this season. If either of those guys go down, we're fucked.
Are you going to tell me that let's say Brian Burns does what he has done last year and the year before? Are you making Derek Brown a top 5 or top 3 highest paid defensive tackle in the NFL?
Why do we have to do that? We don't have to. We've got
because you're delusional.
3 years to make that decision. You are projecting so far down the road. We don't have to make that decision this year.
Right.
We should be signing Brian Burns, who's in his 5th year option.
I agree.
Right, but isn't that the point that Cody's making? It's like
but he's trying to make it against Derek Brown, which makes no sense.
No, he's saying if he has the same year this year that he's had last year,
Brian Burns?
Oh, is that what you were? I thought he was talking
said
about
Brian Burns. He didn't say Derek Brown.
No, I'm saying Derek Brown.
Yeah, he's talking about Derek Brown. He's saying if Derek Brown has the same year this year coming up that he had last year,
his 5th year option.
Or no, but here's the thing: we're doing the same thing to Brian Burns, but we also all agree that he should be paid right now, right?
Right.
No, if he is the same thing as last year, no, he shouldn't be paid top. If he like has stats in the top, then yes, he should.
If he does it again in his 5th year option, then yes, you should pay him.
So here's the reason that I think that he will get paid by us, and it's not that I think that he's a top 10 or top 5 defensive tackle in the league. It's that every year there's somebody who gets that top 5 money because of the increase in the salary cap and whatnot. So somebody's got to be the next man up, right?
He won't be Brian Burns.
Yeah, he won't be in the top 5 for very long as far as pay is concerned, but I do think he will get it. But again, whether he deserves it or not, I think that's something that the coaches are going to have to decide. I don't know how I would need to, like, personally, how I would value defensive tackle and what he brings to the table over, maybe getting somebody out there who is going to be pass rushing. When you look at what our defense did against the run last year, you've got to take into account that how positive it is to have a guy like Derek Brown on this team. Because if he wasn't a part of this squad last year, think about how much worse our run defense would have been.
Or this year. I don't know why Derek Brown's catching strays here. That's my point. Is we've got 2 years to figure this out. You're forecasting. No, you're forecasting what you said. We got to pay Jeremy Chip. We got to pay Derek Brown. We got to pay J.C. Horn. We don't got to pay Brown just forever.
You're not even answering my damn question. Derek Brown, based on what he has done thus far, if you had to pay him right now, are you making him one of the highest paid defensive tackles?
We don't have to do that. That's a stupid question.
Him just being the run blocker?
We don't have to do that. That's a dumb question. We don't have to pay him now. So you know what you could do is just play him through his 5th-year option and reset and do this all over again if you wanted.
Let's say the next 2 years. But you're agreeing with me. You're saying that you don't think his
I'm not agreeing with you at all.
You are,
I'm saying I'm not answering your stupid fucking question.
Franchise tag him, 5th-year option. You're saying that's a
5th-year option. That's the benefit of drafting a first-round pick.
That's a fancy way of saying I'm not paying him.
Crazy. You're crazy. No, you're not making sense. No, you're not making sense.
Paying Derek Brown. That's what you're saying.
Y'all should grab one of these mugs.
You want to know?
Feel better.
Right.
You're right. I'm not going to pay J.C. Horn 2 years ahead of his fucking the need to pay him. No, I'm not going to pay. There's a reason you draft a guy in the first round. You draft him to get the 5 fucking years.
Yeah, okay. But if Derek Brown is the same player the next 2 years as he was last year, or are you paying him?
Well, that's kind of ridiculous. Why would I do? I would hope he would get better from year to year.
Do you agree that we?
So what if he regresses? Would you pay him? I mean, that's what you might as well ask. That's what you want to fucking ask. Cody, if he's a worse player.
Here's the thing, Cody. You're assuming. Okay, look. If he plays the exact same way, it's not top 5, top 3 play. Then no, I don't feel like I should pay him that. You're assuming that if we don't, somebody else will. Well, let me tell you something. If you're performing top 11 or 12, you're not going to get paid top 3 or 5 by any other team.
That's not true.
No, it is true. You're not going to put up top 12 stats to get paid top 3 or 5 in the league.
Yes, you will. It happens frequently because of the salary cap changes.
Are you going to say Brian Burns? Are you going to say that he's going to get top 3
you're telling me,
he's not a top 5?
We don't pay Brian Burns and he walks. He's going to get paid top 3 linebackers from somebody else in the league.
Yeah.
Yes, he will. Yeah. And you want it's not. It has nothing to do with
5.
Here's the problem.
You just told me for the last 6 months he's the best motherfucker ever.
Hold on. Listen to what I'm trying to say. What I'm expressing is that his position, as far as like if he's a top 10, player in this league, is not going to be where he actually gets paid, right? Because the top 5 people are all under contract already. They're not renegotiating right now, so he is going to be the only one, potentially one of the top 3 people negotiating their contract, and somebody's going to break the record as far as the highest paid linebacker every single year for the most part, right? So that's why this is going to be the case. Brian Burns will get paid top 3 defensive end or linebacker money, whether it be from us or somebody else in the league, because he is a top 10 player.
Yes, but you said he was a top 10 player.
But what you're saying is, CK, I think what you're saying is like we're going to pay them the top position. It may be at the end of the Super Bowl or at the beginning of the training camp or whatever we pay them, okay? But because they are not necessarily that position, that's going to be surpassed by somebody else. They're going to be the benchmark for everybody to pass.
Yeah, like a quarterback, the next quarterback.
I can understand that. Yeah, I get that.
Comment. Panthers Den says Christian Kirk was the number 3 wide receiver on the Cardinals and ended up resetting the market in Jacksonville.
Well, you're also talking about a team that had so much money to spend.
That's what CK. Right, there's going to be a team that has enough to give Derek Brown what he wants.
Right.
That's my point.
But that's pulling the crazy. That's saying this, that you just don't want to, that you're going to just chase the money.
But there's a
is that
caveat
here's the
to
thing.
what's
You're
up.
acting when you say this, you
Yeah,
won't
that's what
pay
players
him.
do.
You don't believe in him. You're
Yeah.
actually just saying he's not worth anything at this point.
That's
But there's
not, it's not, now you're just putting words in my mouth.
No,
I
well,
never
no,
said
you're
that
making
once.
me
No,
pay him
I'm
now when
saying,
I want to pay him in 2 years. I still got 2 years to see how we
right,
draft,
if he
how
ends
we.
up getting better, if he ends up getting better and looks like a world beater, then yeah, absolutely pay him.
No, you said if he was the
No,
same.
if he is the same player that we have
That's a
seen him be
unfair
every year
thing to
for the
say.
Carolina Panthers, then I am not making him a top 5 paid defensive
Of
tackle.
course.
So here's my
but
question.
that means you're not progressing as a first
Tony,
round pick.
do you believe we should pay Brian Burns this offseason or wait until after this year?
No, I don't think you have a choice, right? Don't you have to?
No,
Right.
you
Or is
can pay
he in
him
his
this
5th year
offseason.
option? Like, so
this
we
is his
could.
5th year option coming up. That he's playing his 5th year option right now.
I think this is at this point, I'm convinced enough in the player and what he means to this team right now. Then, yeah, I'll pay him right now.
Right.
That
So the
doesn't
point
necessarily mean I have to feel that way about Derek Brown next year, though.
No, but the point being is you're going to believe that because if you wait after this year and he does really well, you're going to want to sign him now because next year he's going to be more expensive than
Well,
he
then
is
fuck
today.
it. Let's sign Derek Brown to a 10-year deal.
It's similar to the Cam Newton thing, right? We signed him after his 4th year, going into his 5th year option,
which was
that's
a great
when he
deal
went to
for
and
us.
he became an MVP after that. We ended up being in a great position because we did that. Right. So there is an argument that you don't wait until that end of that 5th year option to actually sign him. And that's what I think we're talking about here is like we don't
got till
necessarily
next
have
year
2
to
years.
decide that. Then we have a 1 year to be in the same position
exactly.
we are with
That's the
Brian
point.
Burns.
Nobody's saying we signed Brian or Derek Brown right now.
Cody is. He's saying
that is not what I'm saying. That is literally not at
Whatever,
all
Cody.
what
It's
I'm
what the
saying.
fans
top
heard.
I'm
5
saying
money.
this
We heard
year.
it.
I'm saying this year,
Go to the tape.
Derek Brown needs to go to the next level because I am not paying him top 5 defensive tackle money for just what he has done this year.
Okay.
Sorry.
Cool.
He's not on the
you
level
don't have
of
to,
Lawrence
bro.
or
You don't
Williams
have
right
to.
now.
What if Brian Burns finishes the 7th defensive end linebacker, whatever we put him about, and Derek Brown finishes the 7th defensive tackle?
You say this as you say defensive ends are
Then
more
next year
important.
going in, are you
That's what
saying no? We're not
you
paying
say.
Derek Brown, even though you paid Brian
I don't
Burns?
really know why we're fucking talking shit
the
about
amount of
Derek
pressure is
Brown.
in the amount of
Like we need
sacks.
Derek
I like
Brown
putting
and
things out
Brian
there.
Burns, dude. Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
These are our 2 best defensive
Pay
players.
Brian Burns. Yes, I agree. Let's.
Pay
Like, I don't
Brian.
understand
I
why
also
Derek
agree with
Brown's
that. Pay
catching
Brian
strays
Burns.
on this shit, man.
He's not catching strays. I'm saying he's not one
He's
of
shooting right at his head then.
Yeah, I'm saying he's not worth the top 5 defensive tackle contract.
Not yet.
Okay.
And I'm
Not yet,
right.
but he will be. He will be.
Okay.
I hope so. Greg, just like
Hey,
you said about
guys.
Bryce, that you
This
hope
is
you're
Girl
right.
That Makes
right.
Them
I
Howl,
hope I'm right.
You can't
AKA
lose.
Joey
Yeah.
the Blind Panther. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't call during the post game. I was too busy clubbing. I actually went to the club right after the game. What a good game, by the way.
Clubbing.
I don't know. I caught a little bit of the post game. Yeah, no one gives a shit. See, preseason, I was telling people at the club this. Preseason, no one gives a shit as long as you don't look like shit. And we didn't look like shit on Friday. The bank was rocking, dude. I don't ever remember seeing it like that for a preseason game. I mean, the crowd was into it. I mean, of course I was into it. I mean, it was fun, dude. And it was fucking 90 degrees. Like, how? It's humidity. It's the South. It's the summer. I know, but damn, it was hot. Yeah, I think I love Bryce Young, dude. Bryce Young is awesome because it's not so much what he did do, it's what he didn't do. You know what he didn't do? He didn't go crazy trying to risk it all. You know, when he used his legs to get the first down. He got the first down, you know, made sure he was across the marker and slid to the ground wisely and did it right too. Every time Cam couldn't slide. He never would slide. But that is how you live to see another day. Bryce Young is a genius. He has it between the ears. He has the intangibles that he has to have if he's going to go number 1. I keep telling people this. The
the whole people that like to counter his size things. I know a few. I work with a few of them. Okay, well, thing with Bryce Young is for him to go that high on the draft, he has to be a fucking genius. Because if he was just of average football IQ, he would be going in the third, fourth round with his size. But he's so smart and knows the game so well that he's a number one pick. And we got him. I'm so excited. Oh, and the cuts, yeah, dude, fuck Michael Jordan. We're done having him get quarterbacks hurt. Cam Irving, bless his heart. He had chance, but he done blew it. Anyway, guys. Wow.
Yeah. I love the athleticism of Bryce, and Joey mentioned that too. The ability to be able to run, to pick up a first down, scramble, stay inside the pocket, even those subtle movements of just sidestepping a couple spots. He's great at that, man.
Would you pay him top 5 money right now? Oh, sorry. Next call.
What's up, C3? Sorry, quick call in because I'm watching the show. But, man, what is this conversation about Derek Brown? Okay, Derek Brown is improving. And plus, what did I just call in about and talked about for 6 straight minutes with y'all? We have no depth. Pay Derek Brown to stay on this team. Overpay Brian Burns at this point. I know I was one of those guys that I didn't want to pay this top money to these players, but this is the reality, man. They're holding our team together. We need this for Bryce's rookie contract. Same thing with what I said. If T. Higgins is available, overpay him. Make him a top 5 paid receiver. Just like the Jags overpaid Christian Kirk to bring good players to this team. We're not a free agent destination. We need to get good players on this team and pay the players that we've developed. And even if they're not top 5 at their position, they're still superstars. Even Brian Burns, I don't think Brian Burns is top 5, and neither do I think Derek Brown is. But A, that doesn't mean that they won't be in a year or two. And B, we can't let those players walk. It just, come on, man. Come on, Cody. Ice up, brother. Ice up today, brother. Keep pounding.
If anything, he's proving my point. If you're saying that he's going to get better, then yeah, I hope it gets better. And this isn't even a conversation. And he becomes on the level of a Dexter Lawrence, a Quinnen Williams. Absolutely. Pay the man. But Brian Burns is your primary pass rusher. And I'm sorry, a primary pass rusher is worth more monetarily than a big-time run stuffer, even though that's incredibly important.
That's a straw man's argument.
I wouldn't call it a straw man. It's a strong argument.
In order to be paid a top 5 defensive tackle, you have to provide more in the pass rush. Yes, you do.
But you also just said this is we also made the contention that Derek Brown is the player that has actually improved from year to year. And now you're like, well, what if he doesn't? You know what I mean? Like, it's like you're like saying, look over here so you don't look at how weak my argument is.
You're not hearing any fucking thing that I've said tonight on the show at all.
Wrong.
All I'm saying is that Brian Burns, I mean, if you look at what he has meant to the defense, the past, 3 years outside of 1 year of Hassan Reddick,
4 years,
that has been our young star pass rusher.
You don't get to say
and
3 years.
By the way, everybody wants to talk about all the near misses that could have been for Brian Burns, where he would have had a bunch of different sacks if he had a better ability to wrap up. Even then, you have seen the potential for Brian Burns to get into the backfield and wreak havoc on a consistent basis. Last year, Derek Brown ranked amongst the top defensive tackles in terms of pressure. So, yes, he is getting better, but if it's to a level where he's only good for pressures and he's not getting sacks on a consistent basis, like a Lawrence, like a Quinnen Williams, then, yeah, I'm not shelling out top money for Brian Burns and top money for Derek Brown, then Jeremy Chin, then, like Greg said, in another year or two, Bryce Young and Jonathan Mingo. It all stacks up. You have to be worth it.
What Cody is, I think, alluding to, and this is just honestly a matter of opinion for many people, It's similar to his devaluation of the running back, right? You know, you don't pay top dollar for running backs in this league right now. It's not just him, but really anybody nowadays. And I think Cody's belief is, and I don't blame him for this belief, and I wouldn't even discredit it. Is that the value that Derek Brown brings isn't as valuable as a pass rushing defensive tackle.
Yes.
So you don't pay him like a pass rushing defensive tackle.
Well, we went through this with KK Short and Star Latulele, and then we also have said over and over again that is sometimes misleading. Another thing that's misleading is you're using a guy, Quinnen Williams, who was in the 2019 draft. So you're basically putting Derek Brown up against a guy that's a full year ahead of him when I'm saying we can wait another year.
Big fucking whoop.
The 5th year, bitch. It's the 5th year.
What was checked or what was
Bro, he better be Quinnen Williams this year.
Derek Brown is in.
All right, Tony.
Now that's a straw man right there.
He better be
man.
Quinnen Williams this year.
You're out of your mind, dude.
He better be Quinnen Williams this year. If that's the point you're making, yeah, he better be Quinnen Williams.
No, I didn't say you should pay him Quinnen Williams money. I didn't say that. Just like I wouldn't pay Star Latulele Aaron Donald money at that year. That's what I'm saying is, but I'm not saying that we got to shit on Star Latulele just because we like KK Short.
Look, and
you're
Cody
shitting on Derek Brown right now.
Look, man, you're in the same position right now, Cody, that I am a Bryce Young, where you're not talking shit about Bryce, or I'm not talking shit about Bryce. You're not talking shit about Short.
Yeah,
but it sounds like you are. And everybody's being aggressive about it, but you're not. And I understand where you're coming from. I do, because you're not talking shit. It just sounds like you are,
right?
Because trust me,
he's putting a bunch of what ifs
3 weeks. Yeah.
No, I'm saying you need to play like a top 5 defensive tackle and provide high level pass rush before I'm paying you that. If you do, break out the fucking.
You're making a conversation that doesn't exist yet, though. It's a conversation that doesn't actually even exist right now. So you're saying you are fucking shitting your pants over a conversation that has no merit.
No, we brought up the other players that we're going to have to pay soon. Derek Brown, Jeremy
He's
Chin,
the one.
JC Horn. Yeah, everybody has to continue to prove
you're
themselves.
just fucking throwing names out there, dude.
No, I'm not.
Besides Brian Burns,
First of all,
who would you rather pay? Who would you rather pay over Derek Brown? Of those players, besides Brian Burns, let's say we pay Brian Burns, the next guy up.
I mean,
who
no
would
one
you rather
else
pay?
is
Derek
tenured
Brown,
enough.
JC Horn, Jeremy Chin. Go.
I mean, no one's really tenured enough, and Chin. I agree with ERA. Chin is not a necessity to our defense right
Second
now.
round pick, you don't get the 5th round option with him. So it's not even a good fucking analogy. And then you're saying JC Horn, who was drafted after Derek Brown, who you also get the 5th year option. So why do we got to worry about JC Horn? You're worried about Derek Brown prematurely, my man. That's what I'm saying. This is a premature concern.
No, you have sand in your vagina because I'm saying that Derek Brown needs to be a better pass rusher than he has proven to be thus far. That's 100% what it is.
No, you said that you didn't want to pay him top 5 money. That's not what you said. You did not say that. You said you didn't want to pay him top 5 money. And I've said there's no need to. There's no fucking need to.
But you're doing the exact opposite of what I'm doing. The what if.
You're just upset. No, I'm not what ifing. We actually have the 5th year option. I'm not what ifing, dude. No, I'm saying there's no need to have that conversation. Let's just play this year out and then see where we're at. We could still have a whole fucking year under contract before we even have to make a decision. So why would I pay him? No, I'm not going to go overpay.
Around. They're coming up.
Oh,
we're going to have to make a decision soon.
No, we have 2 years, Cody. We have literally 2 years.
If you think you have 2 years,
literally have 2 years.
CK laid out to you why just because on paper you might have 2 years doesn't mean you're actually going to have 2 years.
Okay, now you're just fucking diverting.
I'm not diverting. You're not understanding my point at all.
No, I'm disagreeing with it. Oh, I understand your nonsense. It's just nonsense.
You don't want to pay Derek Brown.
Did not say
That's
that,
top
actually.
5
I said
defensive
I don't
tackle.
need to pay him today. Just like I don't want to pay J.C. Horn right now. Fuck that. I don't need to. I got plenty of time.
But here's nobody's saying that Derek Brown needs to be paid right now. The whole thing has been about at the end of this year.
Dude, he just said I don't want to pay him top 5 money right now. That's what he kept saying.
Right, and he's saying
and we don't have
even
to pay him next. We don't have to pay him
what
this
he
year.
has done now.
We
If
can
he
make him
doesn't-
play next year too.
If he doesn't take
20.
a step
You
forward,
can, but
this
here's
year-
the issue. If your plan is to sign Derek Brown after that 5th-year option, now you
if
are
he plays great this year, then you
Mm.
should sign him.
No, now you either have to franchise tag him and hope that he plays on that after that 5th year, or you're going to be in a bidding war with other teams.
That is the summer of 2024, dude.
Right.
That's not this
1 year
season.
from-
That's not next season. That's the following season you get in the bidding war.
Right. But my point being
We have
is
2
that
fucking
no,
seasons
Tony,
with this dude.
Tony, when you look at franchise, so let's talk about Joey
No, that's
Bosa.
before the
Or
franchise.
Let's talk about Nick
That's
Bosa.
5th-year option, dude.
No,
that's
no,
not
let's-
franchise.
Tony, you're misunderstanding anything that me and Cody are talking about.
Yes.
Our entire argument is that if you look at the history of any team that has a 5th-year option player that they plan on signing, they rarely get past that to the 5th-year option and actually
Right.
play that 5th-year option before getting signed. They get signed in that 4th to 5th year offseason. The majority.
I'm going to
of
look at the
time.
stats on that because I see a
Please
lot of
do.
players signing the franchise tag every year,
Right, you see the franchise tag, but I'm saying that
which
the
would mean they got past their
first-rounders-
5th year.
No, that's also assuming that they're 1st-round picks.
Good point.
The only way you get an option is if you're first round pick.
Exactly. My point being is that a lot of those franchise tags are not always 1st-round picks. They aren't even always rookies coming off of a rookie contract. Many of them are free or off-season acquisitions. But nonetheless, you all majority of the time, if you have a guy who's going to sign with the same team, they sign an extension with that team. They sign it between the 4th and the 5th year. Let's go back in our history here. All right. Luke got paid between the 4th and the 5th year. Cam got paid between the 4th and the 5th year. Brian Burns right now, we're trying to get him paid, and all signs are pointing to him being paid between the 4th and the 5th year. Okay. So majority of the time across the board, these guys, if they're going to sign an extension with the current team that they're on, it's between the 4th and the 5th year.
Is that
Because
true?
it's
Look,
cheaper.
Brian Burns is 2019 was his rookie year. 2020 was his 2nd year. 2021 was his 3rd year. 2022 was his 4th year. 2023 is his
This year,
5th year.
and he's not going to play on a
So we're
5th year.
in his
on a
5th year. So no,
they're
like he
going to pay
could.
him. He's no.
So you think he's going to sit out?
Christian
No,
McCaffrey
but here,
played-
why do we have to have this conversation about Derek Brown right now when we could just have it next year? He would be in the 4th to 5th year next year.
That's the point. We're talking about next year.
Yeah, that's where you're not understanding me at all, me or CK at all. This year, he has to take a step into that upper echelon before we're talking about making him one of the highest paid defensive tackles in the NFL.
What if you don't have to make him one of those?
It's a big time year for Derek Brown. That's all we're saying.
Cody.
No, that is not. all
I
you've
think
been
that I
saying, but-
understand what you and CK are saying, and you're right. We do have to wait next year to see if he does that. I think what Tony's saying is, even if he doesn't do that next year, we still have one more year to be able to make sure. Right?
You're putting too much fucking I have to
I
sign
think
him
that's
now.
what
That's
Tony's
all you
saying.
kept saying is top 5. No, you know what? No. He has been the player that's progressed on this team defensively and has been available just as much as anybody.
The argument
So you
from
know
the
what
beginning
is this? If you want, you know what? He's garnered that money more than J.C. Horn has. He's garnered that money more than Dante.
He's been here longer.
No, he's not. Oh, you're right.
He's been here longer.
1 year.
He's been here longer.
Oh, you remember when he just fucking did that?
Brought it back around.
Didn't he do that, Greg? Didn't he do it? He did it.
Full circle.
Nah,
1 year.
bro. I don't know. Look, it's just you're good at dying on the hill, and,
Paul,
you've died on it.
Tony,
You've
did you
died. You're
not say
dead.
that?
You're dead on the
No,
hill.
you said that. You said the year before we should have paid Brian Burns. That we should have paid him even earlier. So are you not saying?
But we didn't
that
have to
same
pay him
thing?
5
Right,
last
but
year.
you're not.
We didn't have
No,
to
but
do
you
that.
but you said do it before it becomes crazy expensive. So
Well,
are
the
you
guy
not?
is
Are
good to
you
do
not
that.
saying the same thing about Derek Brown?
You keep saying top 5. I don't believe you have to do that.
You do.
Not if you
Yes,
pay
you
in
do.
the beginning. Not if you pay,
pay him
particularly if you
you're
sign
right.
a
Yeah,
wide
you do.
receiver or core. Maybe if you sign a premier fucking position
If
like
we
left
don't,
tackle.
someone else
Okay.
will.
Okay.
If we
Then they're
don't,
fine.
someone else
Then
will.
you shouldn't care. Then you shouldn't give a fuck.
If
Agree,
we don't,
Next
disagree
go.
right here.
I'm
Yes.
done.
Someone else
I'm done
will.
talking about it. Next call.
What's up,
Still
C3?
alive.
JJ calling in. I'm driving right now. I hope it's not too loud, but
Hope you're being
thank
safe.
goodness we let
If
go
you
of
talk
Michael
about Derek
Jordan and
Brown, I'm
Cam
fucking
Irving.
cutting you off.
We can thank God. We can praise the Lord. We can celebrate now. Open champagne bottles, ladies and gentlemen. We won the Super Bowl. We truly let go of Michael Jordan and Cam Irving. But no, in all seriousness, I think when releasing all these players, it's got people actually putting light on the situation, on the reality of the situation, should I say. Jesus Christ. That people are like, oh, if we get an injury and stuff, like, we can't survive things like that. Like, we can't survive injuries to our bigger players. And in my head, I honestly thought we can't even survive those good players having a bad game. Like, if Bryce Young comes out here and has, like, a rookie game one of these games, like, we're not winning that game if Bryce Young throws 3 picks. Like, if J.C. Horn's not out there covering the number one, nobody's in that secondary covering. You know, like, if Brian Burns isn't getting legitimate pass rush to the quarterback, man, or do we really trust Justin Houston to get consistent pass rush if Brian Burns can't? Like, people are like now, like, we definitely can't afford to, like, lose them to an injury. But, like, we can't afford them to just not be at the top of their game either. You know, that's how I look at it sometimes. I guess that finally put some light on that situation. But just remember, C3 Nation, it's a great day because we let go of Michael Jordan and Cam Irving and Shi Smith.
Oh, he had me until Shi Smith.
Of course he did.
I'd like to look up what the difference is in the stats between Brian Burns and Justin Houston last year, because I know that, let's see, Brian Burns 12.5 sacks, 63 tackles, Justin Houston 9.5 sacks, 1 interception.
But look at how many snaps Brian Burns played compared to Justin Houston.
Well, that actually works better for Justin Houston than he played less snaps and actually yeah. So I don't think that I think that Brian Burns is better than Justin Houston just based on age, but I don't think that the difference between the two is that significant. I think that Justin Houston is a very solid guy behind, or guy right behind.
I could
see the worst ad.
I could see him playing
the worst ad to this.
I could see him playing that Peppers role, you know, where Peppers played limited snaps and he still came in here and got double-digit sacks, I think, that year, or came close. You know, I think I could see him still coming in here and limited reps and still having that impact. But the thing is he's not, even if Brian Burns can't get that consistent pass rush, it's not Justin Houston that's going to be the reliever there. Justin Houston's there to potentially come in, you know, during third down. You know,
I think he's going to be a full-time starter now, dude.
I don't know. I think that I don't think they're going to put that. I mean, even when he was
Marquise Haynes, that's it. It's just Marquise Haynes.
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a rotation. I agree with that. You know, but I don't think. I don't think Houston plays the majority of the snaps.
I think he ends up being the guy.
I think he plays
Jared
about
Allen style.
To be honest with you. Sorry.
I don't know. I don't know.
I just don't think it's that big of a gap between Burns and Houston, to be honest with you.
Who do they have in the depth chart? I think it's YGM backing up Brian Burns, and then it's Houston and Marquise Haynes. Is those rotational guys? I don't know. I think that Houston, they're going to need him to be more than we probably want him to be.
If he plays the same amount of snaps for us as he did for Baltimore, then that's about what you're looking for, right?
How many snaps did he? I don't know what his role was truly in Baltimore last year.
I mean, they said he was one of their best pass rushers. And
right. But I don't know about the quantity. Yeah,
no matter the snaps, he had almost as many sacks, about a third as many tackles, and 1 more interception.
How many less snaps?
Well, I don't know how many snaps. I didn't see that, but I mean, he had about a third amount of tackles.
Okay.
But still almost the same amount of sacks, more interceptions. So
I think we're gonna need him to be a guy. I don't
Yeah.
think we're gonna need him to just be a rotational. And maybe that is, but I don't think we're good enough to have that luxury.
Guys, it's the growl that makes him howl again, aka Joey the Blind Panther. I think it's too early about Scott, dude. This is actually Scott's first head coaching hire. Okay? Because Tepper was smart one time, and he was smart to, as Panther Pickle says, shut the hell up. I can't do a good pickle, I'm sorry, but yeah. Tepper just shut the hell up. That's what he did. Okay? Which I'm sure was harder for him to do than propose to Nicole. Because that guy just, get me started on Tepper jokes. I'm not going to do that.
That wasn't hard either.
I know they're all failing right now.
That's what Tepper did. And obviously he had to okay it because he's the owner. And the coaches are a bit different. I don't think coaches don't count against the cap, so the owner I guess the owner has to okay that. But basically, it was Scott Fitterer's call. Matt Rule was David Tepper taking his private plane to Texas, meeting him and his family like a fucking college recruiter, and giving him 7 years, $60 million.
Don't forget the meatballs.
And that's not what happened with Frank Reich. I think Scott Fitterer had far, far more to do with it than Tepper did, and B, than anything Matt Rule was a part of. And another thing is, you got me thinking about what I was thinking about at work today. In our division, I think we have the best coaches, dude. You look at the Bucks, Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles never got anything done with the Jets. Couldn't get anything done with Tom Brady. I know that was Tom Brady's last year, but still, he's Tom fucking Brady. Couldn't get anything done with him. I don't trust him. Arthur Smith hasn't shown much. Dennis Allen hasn't shown much. I think Frank Reich and his staff is the best coaching staff in the division. They've shown the most in the division, and I think this division's ours, dude. I really do. I think we're at least, and if not, I think we're a wild card easily. We're going 9-8. Mark my words. Anyway, guys. Wow.
We were on pace we were on a good pace on this show until we hit the Derek Brown conversation.
Yeah.
We were really pacing well until the Derek Brown conversation.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next
It's
one.
your fault.
Well,
It's fine.
can I say real quick, to be fair, he says they didn't do anything with Tom Brady last year. They did win the division. So,
yeah. I think Todd Bowles is too.
Yeah, they did win the
Todd
But
Bowles
to be
is
fair,
to John
though, Greg,
Fox.
everyone else tried not to win.
Right, but he's talking about us winning the division at 9-8 this year. That's
Todd Bowles is
better
too
than
boring,
they
dude.
did.
He
Yeah.
looks sick. He looks sick on the sideline. Todd Bowles did take that Jets team, and he was, you know what? He was Robert Saleh without Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he was. He had a top 5 defense with no quarterback, and Saleh had a top 5 defense with no quarterback. Now we got a quarter. The only difference was, and Saleh's cool, and Todd Bowles is boring. You know what I mean? Todd Bowles is paint dry boring. Next goal, like John Fox, but boringer. What is this? Oh, let's hear what they're doing in the background. Nothing. All right. That was a great call. Great call.
Scott Fitterer, go suck a big black dick. Bro. Hey, you know who the fuck it is.
Everybody just
Bro.
imitates G Baby when they're trying to get out of trouble.
I don't even know what to fucking say, man.
Or is it G Baby?
No, that's
We cut Cam Irvin. We cut Michael Jordan. All right, but bruh. We cut Keith Taylor. We cut Eric Rowe. Like,
These are all bums, dude.
Oh, that's so
Nah,
disappointing, man.
I don't like either one of those. Yeah.
And it's like we cut Deion Jones, and it's like, okay, I hear motherfuckers say, oh, well, he didn't play good in the pre. He didn't play good in the preseason. He's living off his last name, bruh. He came in last fucking second.
He had a whole training
last
camp.
second.
Whole training
and was
camp.
just thrown into the fucking fire. Like, what the fuck? Oh my god.
Excuses.
I'm not on board
Our
with this
corners
one.
are actually nice. J.C. Horn, Dante Jackson, C.J. Henderson, and Troy Hill. Bruh, that's nasty. That's nasty. We cut Brandon Smith, and honestly, it doesn't. I'm shocked, but I shouldn't be shocked. Everyone that got cut today were all Matt Rule guys, so I need to reassess. I need to look at this different, man. I'm trying to be positive, but it's just like we don't have no depth. We don't have no fucking depth. Why are we going to keep... How many receivers do we have? How many QBs? Why the fuck do we have 4 to 5 tight ends, man? You guys, you know who the fuck this is. This G, baby. And Gregory, if you're going to fucking say my fucking biological name, you know, the name that was given to me when I came out my mama's womb.
Government.
I'm named after my pops, G. So it's Glenn Jr., motherfucker.
Gotcha.
Did you hear that, motherfucker?
Glenn Jr.
Call him Glenjamin.
We're going to let you
Glenjamin,
in
I like that.
solitude just because you want to say Bryce is the truth? Bruh, you're going to be outside the Fortress of Solitude fucking shoveling pig shit, G. Until I say you're in the fucking Fortress of Solitude with all the other motherfuckers. You dig?
You did.
Call them back, boys. We got a lot to talk about.
I want to hang out with Glenn Jr.
Me too.
He'll be here for the
week 9
Texans
yeah.
game.
Yeah, week 9 is gonna be there. I'm gonna try to make it there.
He's
yeah.
a cool dude, man. I love him, bro. I love him. Is that true? Steve Smith put this up on Twitter. Doug Peterson cut his son.
No, that's legit. That's real.
That's awesome. First of all, why was he on the team? And man,
do you think the words "I'm disappointed in you"?
Oh god,
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
What position did he
Christmas gonna
play?
be like, yeah.
Hey, you know what? I mean, it's a business. That's what they say, right? It's a business. All right. I think this is our last call. We have a lot to do still. Good God.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we do.
Yo. I had to call in and get in on this Derek Brown, Brian Burns conversation because I think Tony's tripping a little on this. I got your back, Cody. There's
Appreciate
just
you,
levels to this. Brian Burns is just a more premium player and just like
it's not even
in
a
a
comparison.
top 2-tier level, at least
Yeah,
at
it
his
is.
position or pass
That's not what
rusher in the
Tony's saying.
entire league, if we're being
Thank you.
honest. Eric Brown's not even really top 10 at his position, you know, like, let
We're
alone
missing
giving
the whole argument.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Gregory.
like Derek
Yeah.
Brown a top 5 contract at his position. Like Cody's just saying, like, right now in terms of which player you're gonna pay,
No,
you're gonna
that's not what he
overpay
said
and
at
pay
all.
at like a top 3 or 5 level for their contract. It's obviously Brian Burns over Derek Brown because Brian Burns is just way better at his position than Derek Brown is. That's just the truth. That's not to say Derek Brown isn't valuable to this team. He's a top 3. Yeah, you're tripping, Tony. That's what you were really tripping. He's top 3. He ain't no top fucking 2 player on the defense.
Scratch and
You're
post.
tripping.
This
J.C.
is
Horn
the
is better than Derek
straw
Brown.
man argument,
You got
dude.
me fucked up.
Cody, make it scratch
You got
and
me
post.
real fucked up.
Got
And
you.
that's someone who be calling them both out. But yeah, I got both their jerseys, and so no real bias here. But yeah, Derek Brown is important. You pay the guy, especially if he continues to get better.
And then
year
now
by
you're
year.
saying pay him?
But like right now, it's not even.
That's
a
what I.
question. Brian
Tony.
Burns is the person you overpay.
Look,
You're
y'all are
being-
saying the
what they're
same
playing
thing.
You are being
I'm not saying
fucking
anything like that.
ridiculous.
No,
with
I'm not
this
saying
shit.
anything what they're saying. I'm of clarity of mind on this, man.
No, everything
are
that
making
JJ
a-
said. is what I just said.
No,
That
you,
if he
at
can-
no
if he
point did
has
I
a
say it was
good
an
year-
either or between Brian Burns and Derek
if
Brown.
he has a great year this year and jumps into that elite level discussion, I have no problem paying Derek
Now you're
Brown.
backtracking. Now you're
That is
backtracking.
what I said
because
from the
no, you
fucking
said
jump.
I will not pay
What
him
are you
top.
saying?
You said, will you pay him top 5 money right now?
You
That's
did
what
say
you
you
asked
would not
me.
pay him top 5.
And then you
Right
said you
now.
asked
I
me
would
if
not-
I
right-
would, and
You
I
right
said
said
now,
even if he
no
played
because
well
I
this
don't
year.
have to.
Based on his current production,
This
I
is
would
look
not
over
pay him
here.
top 5.
No,
His
unless
current production is pointing
he
up,
made
Cody,
a
not being
meaningful
stagnant.
let's
jump.
bring this back because it's important, right? Cody legitimately said if he plays the same last year that and he plays this year the same way he played last year, he doesn't want to pay him top 5 money. That is
Okay.
exactly the words that came out of his mouth.
If Brian Burns plays the same this year as he did last year, are you paying him top 5 money?
He was an elite player last year.
Was he a
But
top
no,
5
if
player?
he would have played the same last
No,
year
hold on,
as
hold
he
on.
played.
Was he a top 5 player?
He was not a top
He was
5
not
player.
top 5 player.
But
So if Brian
here's
Burns plays the same
Greg,
this year as he did
Greg,
last year, are you
this
paying
is
him top 5
different.
money? It's
This
the
is
same
different.
argument.
The defensive
not
tackle
different.
isn't as valuable as a pass rusher on the edge right now.
Now you're adding caveats.
No, it's not caveats.
you are.
It's
Here's the
exactly
caveat. We
You have
don't
to
have to
factor
pay
that
him
into
right
Why do you-
now.
Hey, Greg,
has
why do you
to.
think top 5 running backs are not getting paid ridiculous money right now? Because they're valued differently.
Then my
It's the
point
exact
holds
same
even
thing.
better. Then my point holds even better. Then we just make him play out the 5th-year option.
That's
And
fine.
you fucking run it out.
That's fine.
So no,
but then if you play
no,
out the
Cody
5th-year
says
option,
this.
So
If
then you're
you
agreeing
won't
with
pay
me.
him,
You're
no, we're
agreeing
not.
with me. If he plays to the same level that he has, you
Dude,
make him play
you're
another year
crazy.
because he hasn't earned the contract.
You're saying
That's
this.
what
This-
you're
your whole
saying.
discussion has been look over here, so we don't got to talk about this. That's what you've
we're
said.
saying the level of production.
I don't have to pay
that
Derek Brown
has
this
given
year.
You to this point has not
we
been
never
top 5.
said this year.
Yes, he
Never
did. He
said
said,
this
I
year.
will not pay him top 5 money. And then he said, oh,
I'm
if
not
he
saying
balls
right now.
out next year.
No one is
you
talking
just
about
said
paying
this.
Brown right now.
Go to the tape.
No one.
You just said, if he balls out next year, I will pay him.
Tony, you
That's a
are
bunch of ifs, buts, and
Tony,
whats.
here's the problem right now.
Whatever.
Tony, you are not listening to what Cody is saying.
Yeah,
You're not listening to me. You're not
We're all-
listening to
Tony,
me.
I'm hearing what he's saying, and I understand. Like I understand
You're not
both your
listening to
points.
me.
But
Yes.
what you're saying is you don't
What?
have to pay him. You're saying
Right.
you don't have to pay him.
So why do we have to talk about that right now? He threw this out. No, this is where it's look over here and not talk. He's we got to
No,
pay
I'm
Jeremy
talking
Chin. We got to
at the
pay Jerry
end of
Brown.
next
We got to
year.
pay. He threw J.C. Horn's name out there, which is like fucking 3 years in the future. Oh, well, we might as well. We got to pay Bryce Young in the
At end
future. I
of
mean,
this
what the
season,
fuck?
You're gonna have to pay Derek
No,
Brown.
you don't. You don't have to. You don't have to.
All right.
It's technically
That's
you
so
don't have to.
naive.
It's
You're
not.
the one.
you're
You're
right.
the
You
one that
do
wanted
not
to
have
pay.
under
to.
contract.
Tony,
So
you're
if
the
he
one that wanted to pay Brian Burns a year before because it would limit the amount of money that we would have to pay him.
because I think, but look, then we can have that conversation next year.
Yeah, when do you think that conversation is going to happen for Derek Brown?
You keep saying
It's
top
right
5,
around
bro.
the corner.
We can pay top. We can, but you know what? We could extend Derek Brown right now, and he wouldn't get paid top 5. Take that.
All right.
I promise you that.
Someone else will pay him.
I promise you that. No, that. Why do you think Chris Jones
Someone
is sitting out
else
right now?
will pay him. That's a promise.
So if we cut him, they're gonna pay him top 5 money.
Ooh,
You crazy as fuck.
which one?
You out of
Derek Brown, but
fucking
no,
your
we're
mind.
not cutting him.
You're
But
out of
he
your
better,
mind.
He better be a top 5 defensive tackle.
I don't know
at
if
the
they would
end of
pay
the
him.
year.
I don't know if he would get paid top 5. To be fair, I do know
No, he won't.
he would be top 10, 100%.
Cody likes to always do this. He'll be
Top
like
10.
top 5, top 6. Man, fuck that, dude.
That's
Like we don't
the
have
going rate. That's the going
Bro.
rate. Whenever a player
out of your mind.
comes up with their time to be paid, they end up paying. You have to pay
here's-
them as much as
here's
they're
where-
worth.
Here's where Cody's right in this. A couple of reasons, right? If Derek Brown were cut right now, he is the best defensive tackle on the market available.
And Ndamukong Suh.
Nope.
Take that.
And Ndamukong Suh is not better right now.
And he's old as fuck.
But we
He is
wouldn't
not-
cut him. I mean, it's
but
kind of a stupid thing.
but
Is
no,
this
his-
paying
this is-
him top 5 right now is unnecessary. CJ.
Right, but Tony, your question. Let's look at this in a vacuum for just a second. Your question was, if we cut Derek Brown right now, there would be another team that would pay him top 5. And the question is, there's a potential that there would be, because he would be the best defensive tackle in the entire league that is available. Meaning that if somebody needed a defensive tackle, or if maybe there were three teams that needed defensive tackle, there is a bidding war and they will go after him. He may not be top 5 in the league as far as defensive tackle, but he is the best one available and people will pay for that.
But
that's
isn't
what
it
we're
the
talking
same
about.
reason? That's the same reason Brian Burns would get signed.
Right now.
Yes,
That's the same
and
reason Brian
exactly.
Burns
And
would get
here's
signed
the
as a
whole
top
point,
5.
though. The whole point is continuously, Cody says, look over here so we don't have to talk.
That's what you're doing. That's
About
what you're doing.
No, because you said this is that somebody else would pay him. Guess when somebody else would pay him? In 2025.
At the end of next season.
No.
So going into 2025.
2 seasons, dude. We have 2 seasons.
Dude,
we have this year and next season.
No,
2 full seasons.
No, you have 2023. And that's it.
And 2024, bro.
I'll bet you anything Derek Brown is not going to play on a 5th year.
I bet you money. I bet money.
Money down.
I bet money.
Listen, I will disagree with you on that, Cody.
I bet you money. No, because he just keeps saying shit like this.
If he doesn't get a
down.
contract next year and he plays on a 5th year option, my guarantee is he's either going to be playing on a franchise tag or he's not going to be playing as the Panthers after his 5th year option. But I do think he plays in his 5th year option regardless. But if we decide that we want to keep him, it's going to cost us a hell of a lot more money after the 5th year option than it would be if we signed him next year.
That's exactly what he's been doing all night is look over here. He said, I bet he won't play on that. That's another fucking disguise.
At the end of 2023, Brian Burns, you're essentially, if he has a season
so Brian Burns going to sit out this year?
No, if Derek Brown has a season that was similar to last year,
then you're ready to pay him.
No, it's just what CK said. If he is able to hit the market, then someone would trade for him. Somebody,
for 2 years, homie.
I'm telling you.
This is wordplay.
I don't care.
This is wordplay because
Lawrence, just like Quentin Williams, they're not going to play on that 5th year option.
the end of 2023 is about 2.5 months into 2024. The end of 2024 is about 2.5 months into 2025. So
thank you.
So that's a little wordplay you're doing there. I see what you're trying to do there, but
thank you, Greg.
I'm not going to fall for that.
No,
thank you.
Season is the determining factor that is going to
when?
provide
What year is that?
how much Brian Burns gets paid.
What year is that?
We have over.
What year is that?
Cody, what you're saying is
no, it's not.
We have over 2 years.
This is 2023.
We have 2 years.
We're in 2023. We're in his 4th
season.
We have about 2.5 years before we have to decide. That's what you're saying.
Greg.
Yes, this year.
2.5
and then
years.
he would be on the 5th year option in 2024. What I'm saying is, he's not going to want to play under that 5th year option, just like Brian Burns isn't right now.
Hey, Jeremy, tell me what team you're a fan of, and we'll fucking come and look at your people bickering about your You're probably look. I think he's a Bears fan sitting here going, "We're going to." Guess what? You wish you had Bryce Young, motherfucker.
You got DJ Moore.
100%.
Wait, hold on. Is a Bears fan complaining
No,
about
we're not
our
usually
podcast
like this. We're in a heated argument where we're
pod?
turning on each other right now. We're devouring our own, Jeremy. So no, and JJ, I'm not tripping, man. Look, call me when you can serve.
And by the way, the chat room loves it. It's 120 people right now.
All right,
They like it
let's
when,
get. Those are all the
when
calls,
Jake
Jeremy. You know what? I wanted Justin Fields that year instead of J.C. Horn. Oh, but we're gonna have to pay J.C. Horn. Oh, sorry.
Oh my God,
let's look. Those are the calls. Let's go to the news, please. We got to look around the league real quick. There's a couple of things, and guess what? We're going to talk about Chris Jones holding out, but he's not in his 5th year option. He's already signed a whole fucking extra deal, and you're going to be like, "Well, look at what Chris Jones is doing."
No, I mean he's already proven himself.
Hey, you know who's going to be interesting? Sauce Gardner. I think after this year, he's going to demand to be paid if he plays well.
Hey, Tony, 1 point before we leave the Brian Burns conversation right here. Oh, wait. Oh, I started. Where'd I start at? Here we go. Brian Burns' PFF score was 64.5. Brown was 84.4. Some of you casuals just keep looking at sacks.
Just go back to Star Latula.
Oh, yeah. And And
There you go.
PFF is the holy Bible of
We're
all
done.
football.
Okay, you're right.
It is when it
That's
works out in your
accurate.
favor.
Brady
You're right.
Yeah,
Christensen's
that's
son.
what
It
everyone
is when it works
does.
in
Every
your
single
favor.
person,
Yeah.
yeah. Every
That's
single
When it
what
works
person
in
is
your
that
PFF
way.
favor, it's definitely the end all be all.
That's
Mine
what
too. I'm
PFF
just
is
saying, when
for,
it ends in
to
your favor, it's
affirm your
definitely
own
okay.
biases. Anyway.
Don't worry, we've got you for that. Alrighty. Good Lord. Jeremy, first of all, welcome to the podcast. Usually we don't go this hard in the paint after each other. I don't know how we went after this Derek Brown thing that crazy, because you know what? Cody's wrong.
I'm just happy that it didn't go the Bryce Young route, because I thought for sure this was going to be a shit on Greg night.
Oh, I know. Greg just fucking escaped out the back door on
Yeah,
this.
you're welcome, Greg.
Dude.
You're welcome.
I put this one up here, guys, for NFL news because of a position, Mr. Cody Lashney, that you continue to talk about, where you say you don't disrespect Akim Ekwonu by saying he could potentially be an all-pro guard. Mekhi Becton was drafted in the similar situation that Akim Ekwonu was, to be the franchise left tackle. Now, Mekhi Becton has had a more probably difficult trajectory than, a little more struggles in the beginning. There were some questions about, like, if he wanted to play, just some weird things off the field or all this shit. But the Jets were unsure if he was even going to start. And now they're starting him at right tackle. Like, so he's not even been in the question for the left tackle position. He was slated to be a backup right tackle, I think.
Yeah.
So I guess I put this up just to think about this, is just because you draft somebody in the first round doesn't necessarily mean that is the only route of their career.
I'll be damned. Me and Tony agree on something. It's going to snow in Charlotte, boys. Yeah, I am.
Yeah, it did
agree.
snow in Charlotte at the 2015 NFC Championship game, by the way.
Yeah, dude, it fucking iced. Dude, listen, I'm a firm believer. Whatever's clever, man. If a player is not working at a position, instead of abandoning them, see if they have other value at a different position. Especially if a player starts to struggle, and all the rumors were Mekhi Becton was struggling at left tackle. Right. By the way, I don't remember all the details, but
I think that was last year. I think
it was the same. It was the same deal with Penei Sewell. They had kind of moved him around the offensive line.
Is he Detroit?
Yeah, the Detroit Lions, and I forget where he ended up settling. I don't remember if it's left tackle or right tackle.
Was he the same year as? Who was he the same year?
No, he was the year as
Derek Brown, J.C. Horn.
Yeah, JC.
Oh, because he came out the same year, the Los Angeles Charger guy. Remember the guy?
Yeah. So it's Derek Brown. There's 2020.
It was Penei Sewell, and who was the Charger one that had the short arms? That turned out to be like an all-pro in his
Rashawn Slater.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Justin Herbert was in that draft. Yeah, that was 2020.
Oh man, you know what? Would you pay Penei Sewell top 5?
You
got to. You only have a question. That man, if he plays the same as he played last year,
bro,
I'm sorry. Next.
All right, moving on.
Jimmy Garoppolo. Trey Lance. You want to speak about 2020 being a fucking weird year? I saw this. 2020 was a bad year to risk your chips on a quarterback. You had Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones. No, Mac Jones was the next year. He was the Fields year, I think.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence.
But I wanted.
Yeah.
I was so hungry and thirsty for a quarterback. I would have taken all of them bitches. How did the 49ers miss and whiff on these picks? A lot of first round picks these guys have whiffed on.
The Niners?
Yeah, it was a couple of shows ago.
The Raiders.
No. So Jimmy Garoppolo was talking about the Trey Lance situation. That's what the news is. So Trey Lance was traded from the San Francisco 49ers to the Dallas Cowboys. And Jimmy Garoppolo, who was all part of that. Remember, Jimmy was on that team at the time. It's all weird shit. It's just been bizarre. And so he said this is just a weird situation. Trey Lance, though, if you think about it, they've traded like 3 first rounds or 2 first rounds, remember? And they've already given up on him, which is, I think, fine. I think you cut bait when you don't think it's right. I was thinking back about those times. I wanted him. I was like, I wanted Zach Wilson that year. We were just so hungry and thirsty for a quarterback that you would have done anything. I think it's crazy that they are able to still sustain such a top level team. And they missed on Trey Lance, which they traded multiple picks. You go back, I was trying to think of it. We were having a discussion a couple of weeks ago, Cody, about the defensive tackles that haven't worked out. They had Solomon Thomas on that team, right? Wasn't he a 49er? And now he's a Jet. And then there was another one, was Kinlaw.
Yeah, Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina. I was a fan of him.
That was the guy I was trying to think of that night. That was the raw prospect. Was that the Derek Brown year? I'm not sure. So anyway,
I know at one point they had
it was the Derek Brown year.
Yeah. At one point they had like 3 of their 4 defensive linemen were all top 5 picks.
Yeah, and then they got the Watt or the Bosa guy, right? But they also had a couple. I mean, if you think about it, the 49ers had the one. This is going back. I'm reaching back into the well. Do you remember he played for the 49ers and went to Dallas? He was the one that got arrested for like saying bomb at the airport or whatever. What was his name? He's and then they had Reuben Foster, who was a linebacker they picked in the first round that got a domestic violence charge and then went to the Washington Commanders. I just think it's crazy that they've missed on first round picks and continue to have so much
and continue to have John Lynch as their GM. Like it's quite
and he's honestly, genius too. Maybe it's a testament to him.
Maybe, but I think at the end of the day, like that Trey Lance thing should have gotten somebody fired.
I mean, I think if you were in the NFC Championship game last year and you weren't projected to probably win the NFC this year, it would probably be a little different.
Think about if they were hitting on those, though. Think about this, like how if they actually had like a Patrick Mahomes, dude, that team would be just unbelievable.
Jay Thomas got it. Alden Smith is the guy I was thinking of.
Yeah, I don't think that if you kept all those players they drafted right now, they would have the team they have right now. I think that not those players being bust and not having to sign those players to big term contracts
was able to put them in the position
they're in now. Point.
They wouldn't be able to have CMC or Debo or any of these guys if they didn't have if they signed those guys to deals.
Good point. All right, what's next?
Next. Jimmy Graham makes the 53-man roster for the New Orleans Saints and looked pretty good, at least in their preseason outings.
He caught a touchdown in the last game, but didn't he get like arrested or something for being
but
like
they're saying
crazy?
he had like a mental breakdown or something like that is the word on the street.
Like what? He tripped some mushrooms and then go out into New Orleans or something?
No, I don't even know if it was like I think it was just honestly a medical issue.
But dude, I saw him on
Panic Attack
a couple of months ago, and he had been sailing around the world. Like he was doing cool shit. I don't really know what caused him to go back to football. All I'll say is this: I will miss the hell out of Thomas Davis owning this man's soul.
Well, guess what? You got Jeremy Chin doing it this year.
He would beat up on some Jimmy Graham, man. I will never forget that.
Jeremy Chin's going to do that to him this year. Next up is, this is probably the biggest story, or has been the biggest story in the NFL, is how would this unfold? Jonathan Taylor really pushed hard. You want to talk about, was he a second round pick or a first round pick? Is he fighting the whole concept of the 5th round, the 5th year option? I don't know if he was a first round pick. I don't think he was. I think it was a second. I'm not sure. But Jonathan Taylor has been arguing and pushing back against not only the Colts, but Jim Irsay, who is the head. He's the the representative for all the coaches for the NFLPA, and Jonathan Taylor tried to seek a trade. He kind of went, this is kind of falling a little bit. Who's the guy from the Chargers that did this?
Austin Eckler.
Yeah, it's like he's like a better Eckler, right? Like, so he's a
pick.
Yeah. So, and he's trying to get trade. He didn't, they set the asking price. But what I think is wild about this, how did they just put these guys on the PUP list? Do you remember when they got into the fight and then all of a sudden he was listed as having a back injury, and then Jonathan Taylor said, or ankle, and he was like, I didn't hurt. He came out and said, I'm not hurt. Like, how do these guys use the IR to like fuck these dudes? They're like, oh, we found a pimple that's infected, IR.
Well, I kind of think that they're probably doing it to try and trade him, right?
Well, now they have till the 31st to trade him.
The thing is, though, if they're going to do that, you want them to play the first few games. Like, the thing is, if they put them on the NFI list, that's when they're really trying to screw them, because then you're
he didn't have
then you're 6 games
non-football.
out no matter what, and you don't get paid for it. Like on the PUP list, you at least get paid for those games, and you're out 4 games.
And he was going to try to sit out. A lot of guys trying to sit out right now. Not Brian Burns, though. So we'll watch this. What's next? I saw this all over the place, and I don't know exactly why. I mean, I do, I guess, because he got almost dead.
He almost got dead.
But I almost feel like this is like, is it that wild that I thought he was a good player before he almost got dead.
I mean, he was starting for the Bills last year.
Yeah, I think he was starting through injuries though, but I think he was one of those guys who, when he made the team last year, it was like one of those bubble guys that could have very well not even been on the team. During the 53-man roster cut down. But I mean, I think that it's I'm trying to do this in the most sensitive way. I don't know that even if he was playing badly in training camp, I don't know that they would have been able to even cut him.
That's what I was thinking too. No, and that's like why it was kind of weird that this story was such a big deal. It was on every news site.
Right.
I think he just gets name recognition because of the stuff. But I'm with you. As CK is like, imagine if they cut him. Imagine if this headline was Damar Hamlin cut after risking his life. That's what I would write my headline. Damar Hamlin cut after risking his life for the Buffalo Bills. That would be my headline.
Yeah, that's probably an accurate one, and that's probably what would be in every, especially in
Hire
Boston.
me,
They'd
folks.
be putting that out there. Yeah.
All right, what's next? Oh
yeah.
Dude, I saw people going about this saying, look, as we need help at wide receiver. Chosen Anderson has been released from he didn't make the team for the Miami Dolphins. And I was already irritated that I'm just over Robbie Anderson.
Yep.
I'm just over it. You know what I'm saying? We overpaid him. Matt Rule hooked him up.
Still paying him, by the way.
Right. I liked him at the time and stuff, but I'm just like, this is like, but then I saw this Joe Person tweet, CK. And he counts we're paying him $9.7 million this year. So whoever says like, let's sign him, he better play for fucking free. Or not for free, for 9.7. We'll sign you for a $1 contract, Robbie. And we got to listen to your dumbass TikToks. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about that.
We talked about Bailey Zappi earlier. They don't have they only have one quarterback on the roster.
That's kind of wild.
That's kind of wild. So we're keeping 3. We got 5 tight ends, 7 wide receivers, and 3 quarterbacks.
People are already saying that we need to trade Matt Corral.
Dude, I was
Dalton,
literally thinking that.
Andy Dalton.
No, don't get rid of Dalton, man. I'll take Dalton over Corral.
You sound like me now. Dude, now you're flip-flopping. You sound like me now.
I said it earlier in the show. Andy Dalton is our trade piece. We ain't getting shit for
Matt we just signed Andy Dalton, though. We just signed a deal. We're not going to sign him.
We're not going to argue about it. That's my pick.
Real quick. We don't have to spend long on it. How much would you want in a trade for Dalton?
4th round.
Damn.
Simple as that.
He's going to get a 6th and a 7th.
Fifth,
Sorry, it's going to happen.
Fifth.
All right, what do I got here?
Kickers are on the move. The Patriots traded Nick Folk, so they actually have no kickers now. No, like what if they had one quarterback, no kickers? Nick Folk's on his way to the Titans, and the Broncos acquired Will Lutz from the Saints, reuniting him with Sean Payton. The reason I put this up here is the Carolina Panthers have hold on, what's his name? Who's our starting? Pinheiro. His haircut is fucking wonky, man. Him and Andy Dalton are competing for the worst haircuts. Wonky ass haircuts.
Andy Dalton is
you like Andy Dalton's?
I don't mind Andy Dalton's,
his front mullet.
His front mullet.
Yeah, he's got long hair in the front, short in the back. He's got a front mullet.
That's
Dude, he has it slicked up. Who
it's a poof in the front and a shaved in the back. He got a front mullet.
It's not a poof. Yo, quit hitting on that man's drip.
Wait till you see Pinero's hair is funky, bro. It's funky. It's a dude that's like worried about losing his hair. It's a side comb, just straight. Anytime your hair is so perfect that you're like, uh-oh. All right.
All right.
What Curious George haircut.
This was fun story right here. Jared Goff took the Lions O-line to Prime and Proper in downtown Detroit last week, and he said, "What Frank Ragnow can do to a shrimp cocktail is absolutely incredible. I've never seen anything like it. He could enter an eating competition for shrimp cocktails. He could put down 40 or 50 of them."
Oh, dude, I believe it.
It's just like, Frank, chill out on the shrimp, bro.
Oh, dude, they probably caught him on a bad day, too. I bet he can put him down. Yeah, I bet a lot of these offensive linemen could win some.
That one made me laugh. All right.
Competitions.
And here is this. Yeah. We're not going to argue about this. But here is your defensive tackle that wants to go. He's on the holdout. He wants to be the top defensive player, Chris Jones. This is what, you know what? They haven't talked. The sides haven't talked, according to Andy Reid. Again, this is different. They didn't put him on the IR. They put him on the He has a tweet out there that said he's willing to sit out through week 8. Yes. And by the way, he was the most important part of their entire defense last year, dude.
Do y'all think that if he sat out, or like, do y'all think that if he was a free agent, some team would sign him as a top 3 defensive tackle?
Oh, totally. He'd be number 1. That's what he wants.
About this?
But he just signed a deal 2 years ago, Greg. This is the slippery slope.
That money, I get it.
This is the slippery slope. Is he was made the top 5 like 2 years ago.
Yep.
And it's every time. And this is what Aaron Rodgers at one point. I thought this was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers at one point wanted in his contract a clause written in every time somebody negotiates a contract higher than mine, we should be able to reopen. Because if I'm the best, and then all of a sudden Jared Goff is getting paid more than me, he was trying to get. So this conversation is not new. Not new. Is that all the news? Now we got to ice some fools. All right. Wow. Wild show. We were on such a great pace. Now we're not. You're listening to the C3. Yeah, you're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Every Tuesday night into the wee hours of Wednesday morning, we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Sub up, smash the thumbs up button, subscribe, call in, all those things. We'll have the post-game show. We got a lot of content coming, but we got one last segment, the longest running segment on the longest running Panthers podcast. It's time to ice some fools up, Cody.
Eyes up.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
Jeremy, you're right on time. What he said in the comments, he said one of the few years we made it to the playoffs, Steve Smith single-handedly destroyed us. That is the truth. My man had like 2 touchdowns, 225 yards. I misremember. I felt like he had punt returns. Like I thought, if I look back into my memory bank, it's inaccurate. I feel like he had 5 touchdowns against you. It felt like that. No, this is our homage to Steve Smith. This is where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up, to get it together. Guys, Cody, all I could think about all week was how I think you really nailed it last week, how the ice up picks have just become people dying.
No,
I got a lot. I got a few good ones. We're gonna.
Dude, I can go first or last. I have three. I feel
let's
like
ping pong. You go one. I'll go next. I'm ready.
I feel like I have three bangers.
Me too. Me too.
All right,
dude, let's ping pong.
Yeah. Okay. So listen, man. A lot of people have sent a lot of nice words to me, especially after the Charlotte Observer article came out, and they were basically saying, I'm an inspiration, man, showing that even if you're disabled, it doesn't have to hold you back. You can do anything in this world that you put your mind to. Well, damn it, I'm here to tell you that even if you don't have arms, bro.
Oh, I had this one on my list, dude. The robbery. Oh, this is one of mine.
You can rob a bank, bro.
No, jewelry
if
store.
you wanted to rob a bank
it's a
with
jewelry
no
store.
arms, that's absolutely something that you can do. You don't even need hands to hold a jewelry store at gunpoint and demand your bread.
Dude, he got robbed. This guy cocked the gun. Did you see him pull he pulled it back? Yeah, I had that one queued up. It wasn't one of my tops, so that's great. Yeah, that was badass though.
Oh wow, what a legend, man! Hey, anything is possible. You know
what the problem is you get why I know he's wearing the mask maybe because of COVID, but you're getting totally ID'd. You know what? Can you pick the person out of the lineup? No, they got arms, dude. Sorry.
Well, think about that. Do you got to round up 7 guys in a lineup?
Oh, do you got to get 5 people with no arms?
But think about this: where are they putting it? He's not going to be able to grab what they're handing him because he's going to have to let go of it.
Can you put it in my pocket?
More importantly, where do you put the handcuffs? More importantly.
That's
put it in my bag right now.
Well, you got to cuff his legs.
You
kill you.
Cuff him.
All right, so here. We're ping ponging right here. Here's one for me, and this one is somebody wrote on Twitter. They said not even Derrick Henry can stiff arm like this. Don't fuck with this girl's phone call, bro. She said, look, she won't even fight with her. She was fighting. She said, you're in my way.
Damn.
Bro, ice up. Don't be talking shit. Don't be interrupting people's phone calls, homie.
Whoa, that's wild.
Right, so ice up to that. All right, you go next because this is going to be fun because mine are a lot of death and destruction.
If you're, if ever you're the type of romantic to hire a mariachi band to play outside the window of your lover, and she comes to the window and you propose to her, make sure that she's faithful first. And by the way, this might be fake, but it's still.
Is he going to Love, Professor Love, and she's sucking dick up there?
Dude, he's looking up at the window. He brought a mariachi band to propose to her.
Ay, qué pesado.
Oh shit! I think he grabbed the back of her head at that point.
Yeah, he was holding on. He was holding on to the ponytail, bro.
Did I show you the guy that got stabbed in the vape shop last week? I want to make sure I don't repeat these. I got some good ones for it. Man, I can't. Man, I was like, oh god.
You probably shouldn't go too graphic.
Oh no! Watch this shit. Watch this shit. No, I will show this. It's like fuck around and fight. Don't rob shit if you ain't ready to fuck around and find out. So, can you hear it? Hold on. Oh. Why does it keep pausing?
Oh, the news station, they'll probably copyright.
Man just reached down to grab his knife. Look, see?
Why does it keep pausing?
Twitter does that.
Look at this. So this one guy distracts. He steals this change jar, Hey, look, it keeps pausing. It's never done this for me. It does. I know it did it to you. Watch this shit. My man said, I'm dead. He said, I'm dead. Those were his words. Dude, fuck around with those comments, dude. People said he's in Call of Duty and called himself out. I'm dead. Like, I mean, this shit was terrible, dude. Like, don't in this one.
Oh, man,
bro, we got to do this one. I'm a double dip. Dude, this shit. Look, these guys.
I think you did this. Or wait,
did I show you this?
You might have sent it to us. I thought we did it as an ISUB, but maybe you just sent it to us in the chat.
So this guy jumped into this oil reserve.
What?
Right. So look, anything for TikTok. Watch this shit. They hit him with a pressure washer. Water and oil don't do shit to each other. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, shit gets great, bro. Look, he's upset. Yeah, he's upset with himself. He made bad life choices. Look at him. He looks like Venom. Look at his face, dude. Look at this shit. No, watch this. Watch him take his mask off. Look, they're hitting him with the pressure washer. They're doing shit. You gotta hit him with the degreaser.
Oh, how would you even get that
Degreaser, you gotta hit him with some
salt. You use salt to get it off too.
Look at this shit, Greg. Wait till look.
Kitty litter. Yeah.
Look at him take his mask off for his hat.
Dude.
Bro, what a fucking dummy.
Dude, someone could think he's wearing blackface.
Oh, you know what? I actually tweeted that. I said, way to take blackface to a whole fucking level. Somebody put this, is that he could have actually, thank God that he got out. Because the way the density of the oil is or whatever, and the viscosity, like he could have drowned up in that bitch.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit. All right. You're up.
All right, my final one. This is to all the ladies out there. If you ever find yourself wanting to go on the stripper pole, one at a time.
Oh, self-installed. That was the problem.
Oh no.
Awesome.
And they're all like, oh shit. Like they had no idea that would have happened.
Who's paying for this shit?
They're like,
Ice up.
you just broke your window, bitch.
I ain't paying for it. All right, here comes. I'm coming right back at you with this one. Be careful when you try to fuck up the elevator.
I almost did this one too.
This
What
guy
a
pissed
dumbass.
all over the control thing and then got himself stuck in the elevator. He shorted out the whole. Look at the sensors. They all go. He peed
Look, then the lights start to flicker.
Stupid ice up, man.
Feels
Ice up.
bad, dude.
I got
Feels
one more.
bad.
I got one more good one too. Hold on. Oh, let me see. I think. Oh, I got two actually. Sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I gotta do them. This one is like, be careful taking your mistress out in public.
Oh yeah, I've seen this. Is it? Oh fuck! Come on, camera, bro.
Not me. I like that one. And then here I
They
got
both
one.
go to instantly pretending like they have no idea who the other one is.
This one, I just saw this when we started the show. This one is stupid. And this is where it just goes to us just watching people die. And not die, but like do stuff like this is right up our alley of tonight have been soft. Like when nobody was on the verge.
Yeah.
I saw this one too, Tony. We have the same Twitter feed.
Yep.
Oh.
And he probably look. I mean, if he didn't fall all the way through, he got crushed there. Like, I mean, think about that. That drop.
Yeah. It was going to lift up
so
onto
hopefully
it.
he fell all the way through, or if not, it's still going. He's scrunched. Ice up.
Oh,
right.
shit. Ice
Um,
up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. All right. Those are your ice up picks. Greg, you got one for us?
No. I guess if I was going to throw a quick one out there, I would just throw it to JJ and CK and Cody on their Derek Brown take.
Yeah. Thank you. Only one person gets me.
You should be thanking me. I deflected all the arrows from you today, bro.
CK?
I'm good, man.
All right. That's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Every Tuesday night into the wee hours of Wednesday morning, we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Look, we'll be here every post-game show this year. We got the Friday free-for-all, which is popping. You want to talk about this? You think tonight was arguing. This is just us hugging and dapping up compared to the Friday free-for-all. Gregory, love hanging out with you. Glenn Jr., always good to hear from you on the radio, on the calls. Cody Lashney, you can shut the hell up.
Nah, die on this hill, pussy. What's up?
All right, and CK, great hanging out with you. Cody Lack, take us out of here.
C3 Nation, until next time, keep pounding.